I will call the Paris Union High School District School Board meeting to order at 2:02 p.m. I'm going to ask for a roll call to determine a quorum. Trustee Anaya?
Here.
Trustee Stafford?
Here.
Trustee Hall? Here. Trustee Garcia?
Here.
And Trustee Campos here. We have established a quorum. 3.1 invitation to address the Board of Trustees on closed session items only. Are there any public comments in closed session items?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. 4.1, we are going to adjourn to closed session. Do I have a motion
So moved.
to adjourn to closed session? Oh, thank you, Trustee Garcia. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. Any discussion? Please vote. Upon a vote being taken, the vote was 5-0, and we are adjourning to closed session at 2:03 p.m. The district is reconvening at 5:34. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And today's invocation will be given by Trustee Hall.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. In the moments of the fires in LA and also the plane crashes that we've had, let's remember those victims and families who are no longer with us and the ones that are dealing with their losses. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to add one thing. I'm sorry. Tomorrow's not promised to us. So remember, tell your loved ones you love them. Reach out and send a text to someone just to say hi. Because, again, tomorrow's not promised. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. Okay, we're going to recess in the board. We are recessing the meeting at 5:35 to conduct the regular board meeting of the California Military Institute. The regular board meeting of the Paris Union High School District is reconvening at 6:15. And now, we're moving on to 8.1, the revision adoption, ordering of the agenda for February 12th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Garcia. Second. Trustee Stafford?
Yes.
Thank you. Seeing no discussion, please vote. On a vote being taken, the vote was 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Moving on to oral reports. Are there 9.1? Is there a report out of closed session?
Yes, President Campos. In closed session, the Board of Education took action to dismiss classified employee number 340382 by the following vote. Jamie Anaya, yes. Steve Campos, yes. Edward Garcia, yes. Charles Hall, yes. Anthony Stafford, yes. Thank you. That'll be it.
Thank you. And then 9.2, we have a district update by the superintendent, Dr. Ross.
Thank you, sir. Yes, the first item, we are going to present a recognition for our wonderful teachers, the teacher of the year. I'm sorry? All the employees of the year. Yes, all the employees of the year. So we are going to proceed to recognize, and after that, we are going to have the presentation of the Ray Awards, correct?
We already have the Ray Awards.
Oh,
CMI.
CMI. Okay, only Ray Awards for CMI. Okay, perfect. So for our Paris Union High School District is going to be the district employees of the year. So, Board of Trustees and guests and public that are here tonight, I have the privilege to recognize the Paris Union High School District Teacher of the Year, Sara Huerta, from Liberty High School.
She's not here and she's from.
Okay, so he's getting the chance to thank you for the correction.
I think you should redo the announcement.
Now, we would like to recognize the District Teacher of the Year, Marta Rocha Puente from Paris Lake High School.
Our prayers are with her and her family as she has a family emergency, so she didn't make it.
I would like, if it's okay, to read anyway why they are recognized, even though they are new. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Ms. Sara Huerta, teacher of Heritage High School. Okay? Sara Huerta is a dedicated leader at Heritage High School, serving as AVID coordinator, professional development lead, and Title I coordinator. Under her guidance, the school has fostered a strong college and career culture, earning recognition as an AVID National Demonstration School, a proud Paris Union High School District graduate and former valedictorian. She is committed to giving back to her community by supporting student success and staff development. Her leadership and advocacy make a lasting impact on Heritage High School. Congratulations to Ms. Sara Huerta. From Paris Lake High School, Ms. Marta Rocha Puente. Mrs. Puente is a passionate advocate for alternative education students, believing in capturing their hearts before engaging their minds. Beyond the classroom, she leads the ASB program, fostering leadership and ensuring students enjoy the full high school experience. From organizing key events to instilling confidence in students, their dedication transforms lives. A trailblazer in empathy, compassion, and equity, Mrs. Puente is truly deserving of recognition as our District Teacher of the Year from Paris Lake High School. Our District Classified Employee of the Year from Paloma Valley High School, Ms. Nina Paz. Nina Paz is a dedicated and adaptable leader at Paloma Valley High School. As site secretary, she navigated challenges with professionalism and warmth, ensuring smooth operations. Now as counseling secretary, her efficiency, her creativity, and impeccable service continue to make a lasting impact. From organizing key events to supporting students and staff, Nina's commitment and positivity are invaluable to the school community. Congratulations, Nina.
That's a girl,
Yeah. Okay. Nina. Now, let's welcome and recognize our confidential employee of the year from Paris High School, Cynthia Avila Medina. Cynthia Avila Medina is a dedicated and compassionate leader. A proud Paris High alumna, she upholds her family's legacy by supporting students, staff, and parents with empathy and professionalism. Her exceptional communication, organization, and cultural competence foster a collaborative and inclusive school environment. Adaptable and resourceful, Cynthia's unwavering commitment makes a lasting impact, making her truly deserving of this honor. Congratulations. Now, our certificated Administrator of the Year. From Liberty High School, Mr. Scott Moore, Assistant Principal, Athletic Director.
He's not here, he is in Tustin with our CIF Round 1 boys basketball team.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Figueras. Scott Moore is a dedicated leader with 22 years of service. From PE teacher and baseball coach to assistant principal and athletic director, he has shaped athletics and academics across multiple schools. Scott's student-centered approach fosters achievement, equity, and personal growth. His strategic leadership, integrity, and passion makes him a transformative force in education and athletics. Congratulations to Mr. Scott. Now our classified administrator of the year from Paloma Valley High School, Mr. David Aguilera. David Aguilera is a dedicated and hardworking leader at Paloma Valley High School, making him a deserving choice for classified administrator of the year. A problem solver and effective communicator, he is committed to creating the best learning environment for students and staff. His dedication to professional growth and improving maintenance and operations is widely recognized. David's collaborative spirit and lasting contributions make a meaningful impact, and this honor reflects his unwavering commitment to the Perris Union High School District and its students. Congratulations, sir.
Can you just stand right here?
You can join? Yeah. You can join us for the picture. Picture time.
We're missing counselor. Oh, we're missing the counselor here.
We're not as tall.
We're organized. Well, we are going to ask Mr. Juan Santos to help us introduce, present, and recognize the Perris Union High School District Counselor of the Year from Perris High School. All right.
So I'd just like to say, as principal of Perris High School, he has been an amazing ASB director. And he's transitioned over to be a counselor, and he's been a breath of fresh air for our students. His entire career he spent at Perris High School being a science teacher, ASB director, and now counselor. And after how many years? 18 years. The last 2 years, consecutive Counselor of the Year awards. We're very proud of him and love the fact that he's at Perris High School.
Yes.
Thanks, sir.
Now picture time, right?
One, two, three. Thank you. Secretary,
Okay. Continue with the updates for you.
Dr. Russ.
The paper. Okay, so, yeah, okay,
Got it, yeah, okay.
Bye, congratulations again. Okay, we are going to continue with the update. Over the next several months, we are going to be working on a supplement to our facilities master plan, focusing on safety and security. The intention of this supplement to the facilities master plan is to create a short-term plan for conditions that arise we address like power shutoffs, air quality, and other schools operational considerations. So we continue putting the safety of our students and our staff as a top priority. And you are going to be hearing the specifics about this short-term master plan. I have the opportunity, and it was an honor to attend the Black History Showcase at Heritage High School. Thank you for the invite. It was on Tuesday, February 4th. Woohoo! It was an excellent program. We really enjoyed it. Yes. Also, I want to share about the Unified Sports. SPED students from each campus went to Heritage High School and played and practiced basketball skills. It was a combination, or our non-SPED student athletes participated and engaging with students with IEPs. So it was an excellent event. I want to share with you that we are talking, and I have given direction to start a campaign to eliminate the use of the N-word in all Parish Union High School campuses. You are going to hear the specifics later on. We already started conversations through Mr. Williams with the high school principals on how we are going to develop this plan. Students, they might use the N-word, some of them at home in the neighborhood, but in the Parish Union High School District campuses, will not, it is not tolerated. We are expecting nobody to use that word. Also, we are starting an educational campaign to eliminate any kind of harassment related to the immigration status of our students in the Parish Union High School District. I have received personally at least one case where a student went crying to the office because he was told, oh, you are going to be the next one who is going to be deported. We cannot and we will not tolerate that kind of behavior for our students. We will ensure a safe environment, physical, social, and from the emotional perspective for all of our students. We had an Our Zero in-person training at District Leadership yesterday, Tuesday. The training provided an overview of safety protocols and the incident command structure, as well as an opportunity to work with our teams regarding the specific protocols to ensure the safety of our students and our staff. Today, and during the next 2 days, our CEO will be visiting sites for more in-depth and site-specific training that will consist in 2 parts: the tabletop training on site protocols and student reunification. And number two, a hands-on student reunification drill. All of our staff, including us, we went through the professional development on the platform, on the computer. But we consider not to be enough. We need to take this to the next level, to the practical level, to ensure that we are able to respond in an efficient manner in case we have an event. This kind of level of preparation is something that our students, our staff, and our community deserve. That we are prepared to provide the best possible service whenever we face an event. I want to share with our public and our constituents, and the majority of the board were present during the study session of the special board meeting on Saturday, January 25th, from 9 to 3 p.m. We learned, it was very powerful, so thank you for organizing that, Mr. Campos. And we learned, among other things, related to the Brown Act. For example, I can poll the board members to call for a special board meeting. We learned also, the presenters shared an example of a district with a middle college program to help students earn college credits while in high school. Well, let me tell you this. Perris Junior High School has been offering dual enrollment classes and helping students take concurrent enrollment courses at Mountain San Jacinto in order to meet the IETSE requirements. IETSE stands for Segmental General Education Transfer Curriculum. Those are the classes that all the students who want to transfer into a four-year college at the UC system or CSU, Cal State University system, they need to take. That's the general education. So it's basically can be close to the equivalent of 2 years of study. So when they graduate here from our high schools, our goal is, and we are developing this as a stronger program. So even though the presenters talk about other districts, we already have that here, and we are making this program stronger and better for students. I just want to add that this program was started by Trustee Arauz in his first term as a board member from 2014 to 2018. And we are continue to work with Mountain San Jacinto with this program. And I'm really pleased to say this because these are the results of doing that for the benefit of our students. So I'm very proud for district providing that opportunity to our students and of our students of taking advantage of that. And we want more students to benefit from this program. The presenters also, during that study session, they talk about other districts that for us, do the possibility of rent or leasing, that they are renting their facilities for revenue, including cell phone towers and advertisement on the side of the freeway. I would like to share with the board that proudly, Perris Junior High School has already been renting our facilities. And that is going to be a presentation. I asked Ms. Rains to present a law of all the community members, or organizations that have been involved in this process. So we already have been doing this. Perris Union also has been renting land space for cell phone towers, and that is going to be on the presentation tonight. And I think probably some board members remember when you approved that a few years ago on those leases, on those contracts. So even though it was good information, right, from the presenters, but we are already doing that here at Perris Union. So thank you to all the staff for supporting that, and the business department for providing that information. And also we have Ms. Latanya Kirk-Carter presented a summary of findings on the district fiscal analysis, right? Because we want to ensure our fiscal solvency. We want to ensure that we are doing everything correct and right. And besides, we had positive certifications for the Riverside County Office of Education. We had positive certification from the regular auditors. We went one step further to do this district fiscal analysis. And these are the key findings from the report. The Perris Junior High School District is in solid fiscal health with its annual budget, interim reports, and audits receiving approval from the Riverside County Office of Education with all positive certifications. It supports structures, communication system, and controls from school sites to the district office, aligned with those of a well-run school district. While it faces some common challenges typical of K-12 public schools, there are no immediate concerns or needs for drastic measures. Financial management. Perry Junior High School District is recognized as a technically well-run financial district. The low number of annual findings is a positive indicator of strong financial control and effective management practices. Purchasing contracts. The district maintains high standards in its practices with no irregularities found. Mr. Kirk Carter recommended that we address deficit spending, pay close attention to intra-district transfers and the impact of school charters, of charter schools. Lastly, Ms. Kirk Carter did have a recommendation to switch audit firms, and we are acting upon that tonight. We are presenting information to our board to switch the audit firms. She noticed that, or she noted that with only one finding per year, this could be evidence of complacency. Might be evidence of complacency. We will be hearing from different audit firms tonight for the board's consideration selection. While this is your decision, Board of Trustees, neither my decision nor Ms. Rain's decision have a preference. I will mention that Ms. Kirk Carter also did not find any findings. So that is something really, really important for us. It's confirming, right? So thank you to all of our staff and for the support of the board. I want to finally say thank you to Ms. Rains and Ms. Capistrano for providing a comprehensive presentation 2 months ago on the district's first interim financial report. Thank you also to the board for permitting them to provide a more lengthy report than usual for 2 very important reasons. First, because we have 2 new board members. Second, because there are important and critical decisions to be made regarding the district budget. I appreciate a report highlighting the significant implications of declining enrollment. We need to address the issue. We need to face the situation. So this is one element, one variable that not only us, other districts at different levels, they are facing declining enrollment. Attendance capture rate also is low in deficit spending. Thank you also to Alan Saul, who presented the District 23-24 External Independent Audit Report. Thank you to the board for the commitment to learn about the programs. And today we are going to have a wonderful presentations. They are going to be in depth depending on your desires. Okay, we are prepared to limit this to 15, 20 minutes, but depending, it's really important, right? This is some really important information. So we are going to be asking you, right? Or you can tell us, oh, you know what, I already understand that. Don't need to go into that. But if you have any questions, please allow us. We are prepared to go in depth, right? Because it is important for us. It is important for me that you have all the information that you need to make educated decisions. That is the update by the superintendent, Mr. President Campos.
Thank you very much. We're moving on to 9.3, the student representatives to the Board of Trustees, and we will be kicking it off with me, and I will introduce Liberty High School student representatives, Philip, I think it's Chu, Jeremy Malavo, and Alina Zavala.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Rao, and the captain. I'm Alina.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Phil.
And this is
Liberty Recap.
Our January student of the month is Rebecca Pepe. Rebecca is involved in BSU as treasurer and a varsity member of track and field. She is exemplary in her different areas, and we are proud to call this honorable student our January student of the month.
For our February student of the month, we have Stephanie Mendoza. Stephanie is involved in HOSA, AVID, ASL Club, and managed the boys volleyball program. Her dedication and her passion truly exemplify the Herd way. We're proud of her as our student of the month.
On December 6th, ASB hosted our Swan Lake themed Winter Formal. We had delicious food trucks, fun decor, photo booths, and DJs for students to enjoy. Overall, it was a fun winter night.
BSU hosted a Spirit Week in honor of Black History Month. We had many fun days promoting recognition of the month, such as HBCU Merch Day, Favorite Black Artist Day, and Red, Yellow, Black, Green Day. This was a great way to promote recognition for this month.
Our ASB Class of 2027 hosted a Kindness Week to spread positivity around campus. Our sophomore ASB students had different fun lunchtime activities every day of the week.
For our upcoming events, we have the Spring Stampede on March 7th.
Our varsity sports are recognized through an enthusiastic display through the school.
For Open House, it will be hosted on March 26th.
Prospective and current Bison are able to come learn about our various clubs, sports, and school culture.
And as always,
Have a great day!
go Bison!
From Paloma Valley High School, I'd like to introduce School Representative Hannah Ruff.
Hello, Fairchild School Board. I'm Hannah Ruff, back again for the first time this semester with the latest Paloma Valley updates from January to February. Starting off on January 17th, we had Aurora Awards where students were selected by their teachers for their amazing characters and being outstanding students. After that, from January 28th to the 29th, we had our second semester Club Rush. This is an event we have once a semester where students can go out at lunch and look at the wide variety of clubs we offer at Paloma Valley. We had an excellent turnout and it was a huge success. Earlier today, we had a similar event to Club Rush that we call Elective Rush. During this event, students are given the chance to check out all of the electives offered at Paloma Valley. And speaking of electives, students are already in the process of choosing their classes for next year. And now for our sports updates. Congratulations to girls water polo, girls wrestling, girls soccer, and girls soccer for all being league champs or making the playoffs. Girls soccer even went undefeated. On the boys' side, wrestling also took lead, and for the first time in many years, our boys' basketball team earned a playoff spot. Great job, sports teams. And last but certainly not least, congratulations to our two students of the month. January was Nicole Liu, and February was Darren Liu. We've had an excellent start to our second semester, and I cannot wait to share with you all the rest of the exciting things we have planned for the end of the year. For Paloma Valley ASB, I'm Hannah Ruff, and I'll see you next month.
From Paris High School, student representatives Juan Carmona and Jacob Cooper.
Good morning, school board and staff. My name is Juan Carmona.
And I'm Jacob Cooper.
Today we're covering all the events from December and February. On December 9th through the 19th, Paris High made tamales for all staff.
On December 10th, National Honor Society had their first cocoa and crayon study session.
On December 13th, we had our second food frenzy here at Paris High.
Are you in the Holly John spirit? Because I know band was. December 13th, band had their annual winter concert.
On December 13th, Think Together had the Habit food truck come to Paris High for those who are enrolled in Think Together. On December 20th, we had our winter formal at the Riverside Municipal Auditorium. Toward the end of January, Violet Folklorico had their Beppa dance competition.
Congratulations to Lucas King for being our student of the month.
On January 13th, our culinary team went to the Riverside Convention Center for an all-out food battle against different schools in the Inland Empire.
On January 30th, we had our annual blood draft.
Well, that's all the events for January and February. Hope you guys enjoyed. My name is Juan Carmona.
And I'm Jacob Cooper.
We'll see you guys
Next time.
From Pinacati Middle School, student representatives Isabella Duarte, Naomi Martin, yes, God bless you, and Celia Polarana. I hope I got the names right.
Board and Superintendent Dr. Arao. My name is Naomi Martin and I'm your ASB student rep at Pinacati Middle School.
My name is Sala Polarana and I'm your ASB student rep at Pinacati.
My name is Isabella Duarte and I'm your ASB rep here at Pinacati Middle School. We're here to report what's been happening here at Pinacati for the past 2 months.
November and December have flown by.
Our 8th graders visited Paris High last week for their elective fair and are very excited to start high school in a few months.
Our football market is off the ground. It is the larger Mr. U's efforts to get it running. Our PBIS team at Pinacati is trying to award all the great behavior at Pinacati. Kids are being awarded with Puma dollars, which they can turn in for supplies or fun awards, like chips and candy. Students pick up their treats before school and is most likely student run.
Miss Fisher was chosen as our Teacher of the Month for December. She is a wonderful and caring teacher who helps our students around our campus.
In other news, Ms. Gutierrez and Club Life are planning a family event on February 13th from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m.
Ms. Heredia is taking lead in creating a Vale Florico club, which will have its practice today after school.
Soccer tryouts for boys and girls begin today. We hope to have as many students there.
Pinacati is celebrating Black History Month by doing a school-wide door decorating contest for the month of February.
Thank you for watching and stay tuned.
And from Paris Lake High School, I had the honor to bring in Amanda Rodriguez and Vanessa Valdez.
Hey everyone, it's Amanda.
I'm Vanessa's class of 2025 seniors, and we are beyond excited to kick off this month's board presentation with a whole lot of love and energy. February is all about love, and we've been spreading it everywhere.
We kicked things off with a bang at our first ever paint and sip event hosted by our amazing ASB team. Students came together to create beautiful love work, and I've got to say, it was a masterpiece in the making.
ASB didn't stop there, talk about spreading the love. They put together Valentine Grams to deliver to that special someone, whether it was a friend, a crush, or maybe even a secret admirer. Everyone felt the love.
Mental health and self-care also took center stage this month. Friday Night Live hosted a powerful presentation raising awareness on these important topics. It's all about taking care of ourselves and each other, and the turnout was incredible.
And let's talk about Bible Club. What an amazing group. They celebrated revival, spreading faith and love while interviewing students and sharing messages of hope and positivity. Before we wrap up, just a couple of quick reminders for our seniors. Don't forget to get your FAFSA turned in. This is a graduation requirement, so make sure you don't miss that. And keep an eye out for the next Saturday school day. You don't want to be caught off guard.
Thank you so much for allowing us to host this month's presentation. Falcons, let's keep soaring high. Until next time, peace and love from the lake.
All right, those are awesome. 9.4, CSEA President, Cynthia Navarro.
Good evening, President Campos, board members, Superintendent Dr. Arel, cabinet and guests. So let's start out on some positive notes. So I attended a training last Friday. I participated in the California Community Schools Partnership Program session, where a presenter from RCOE provided insight into the program's framework. So this session included staff, students, and parents from various school sites, and we had the opportunity to learn about the 4 key pillars of the program, which are the integrated student supports, family and community engagement, collaborative leadership practices for educators and administrators, and extended learning time and opportunities, that's known as ELOP. So I came to realize, because I'll be honest, at first I was like, wait, community day, like are we bringing that back? But no, completely different, like it's the community schools, which I came to realize that we already have this embedded in our schools. So attending this session just helped me gain a clear understanding of how classified educators are already playing a vital role in this initiative. So a special thank you to Diane Martin for the invitation, because it was truly a valuable experience. Shifting gears, I want to share a highlight from my visit today at PALS. So today I had the privilege of observing one of our incredible para-educators in action, Amy Everwine. I was in the classroom, she was assisting her one-on-one, just as I saw her use all her strength, all her might to take the student from his chair up to like his, I call it a little bungee jump, but like, I was like, wow, you really have to use your whole strength. And just, I saw the passion, the love in her eyes is just completely undeniable. You could just see how this classified educator, paraeducator was just full of love and compassion and empathy for this kid. I loved seeing that. I invite you to go to PALS if you haven't. It's just a great program that we have for adults there. And then, in speaking of that, this just reminded me of what I always say, like love them first, teach them second. If we all embrace this philosophy, we would see a profound difference in the world. As you all saw, we recognized one of our classified district employee of the year, Nina Paz. She's another great example. I personally worked with her. I go to her for everything. She's just a wealth of knowledge, and she's taught me a lot of what I know. And luckily right now, payroll has her. She's working at a class, and I appreciate the opportunities that are given to the classified employees, because that gives us opportunity to cross-train, to work out of class, and promote within if there's ever an opportunity to do so. Okay, now, moving on to a more pressing concern, negotiations. While I do remain hopeful that we will reach a resolution collaboratively, I must acknowledge the frustration from many of our members, everything that they're feeling. One of the main concerns is about the site closures due to the power outages. Members have expressed a deep sense of inequity between certificate and classified staff. And we question, where is this equity that we all talk about? Because we are not seeing it. Classified is concerned on the fact that we are being asked to go to work and be reassigned to a different worksite location, and if we choose not to go to a different location, then we have to use our available leave. But we're not seeing that certificate as being offered the same thing. So we are just not seeing eye to eye on this one with the district, but my goal is to foster collaborative solutions that uplift our members and strengthen the district. So I look forward to continue working together with the district leadership and the support of the board to ensure that all classified educators feel heard, valued, and respected. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. (9.5) PSA President Jason Miller.
He's not here tonight.
I don't see him in the crowd, so move. 10.1 Invitation to address the Board of Trustees on non-agendized items. Are there any public comments for non-agendized items?
Yes, we have one.
Okay. And before we get into that, I'll go ahead and just read this real quick. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. In addition, the president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that the additional person speak only if they have something new to add.
Mariela Murillo.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to talk about the personal leave, as Cynthia Navarro mentioned. This issue has all the elements of past practice. Employees have been sent or stayed home for various emergencies, fire, smoke, COVID, and now power outages. Established use of absence code O is used presently and in the past years. Employees always sent home with pay. NSA sent home with code O recently during power outages. Teachers and secretaries sent home during outage. Me Too clause also applies. CSEA members, teacher unions, and CSEA have an established agreement. Using personal leave for emergencies can lead to discipline or denial of promotions or transfers when the employee should be paid without using their own leave. The district wants to reassign the employees to other sites during emergencies, but won't let us work extra duty at sites in need of assistance. Well, I work for CMI as an NSA, and we all worry about this issue because we have a paper that stated we use the word all, the code all, for those emergencies, and now they want to change it. So that's why I'm here to speak and support my co-workers. We will work and we have talked about this, and now the Cynthia and we're trying to get answers about this. Please, thank you. And also, I don't have one minute, I don't know. But I want you to please be aware of a complaint I filed and has not been resolved. And this matter is urgent, and I want you please to take care of it. If you can please take a look on that, and I really appreciate that. This is my first time here, So I really enjoy being here, and I was listening, and I'm excited about everything. And I hope I'm speaking on behalf of my co-workers from other schools. And thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. 11.1 consent calendar, approval of the consent calendar items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Garcia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, seeing no discussion, thank you, Trustee Hall. Please vote. I'm sorry, just the result hasn't
No,
punched
it
up.
hasn't popped up yet. There we go.
Oh, there it is. Upon the vote being taken, the vote was 5 in favor, none opposed. Now we're moving on to oral part, continuing with oral reports. 12.1, the novel committee update.
Thank you, Board President, Superintendent, and Board. I have the pleasure of introducing two members of our novel committee that have been at this work for quite a long time, through changes in leadership, through changes in seasons, and changes in all kinds of things in the world. And they've been putting in the good work. But before we get started, and I'll introduce Noel and Teresa. I know that we presented this, the district presented this last January. But I did want to touch on some basis on the work of the teachers and the work of the curriculum committees. So what happens is that the work that they did is teachers, department chairs, and other leaders, program specialists, and other people work within their departments and they recommend novels. And they put it through a sort of like, is it appropriate at what grade level? Is it appropriate for what specific unit of study? Is there literary merit? They look through things on complexity and the California standards. They look on relevance to student learning and diversity. Those are some of the lenses that the committee filtered through many books, read many books, and had some spirited conversations and discussions about. So recently we reestablished the committee to and tasked them, and they did a great job of kind of looking at through a lens on novels that are ready to go and novels that we're going to review a little further, right? And some of the things that they reviewed were things like the literary merit, right? So in the novels, I know that some of you had heard my speech before about through literature and through fiction and through reading, students can have an imaginative rehearsal for life. So for reading, if they're reading about something that is something that they're going through, or something that a character is challenged with, or they're traveling to diverse countries, they're having this imaginative rehearsal for life. They're in their brain, they're going through those scenarios because they're going to encounter those things. And that's sort of the function as literature English teachers that, well, we're not literature teachers, but I know we want to be that way. That's some of the function of the novels. So on some of this work that they're going to talk about, they did prepare for the teachers talking points on controversial issues, talking points on items that we would need to cover as we talked about before. And they did a great job putting it through that lens. So I'm going to introduce Teresa Gonzalez and Noel. You want the clicker?
Yeah. Good evening. My name is Noel Kamen. I come from Heritage High School, and I was on the Novel Adoption Committee. I want to begin with a simple truth. The world our students are growing up in is not the same world many of us grew up in. And yet, for years, we've asked them to explore the world through the same set of novels, the same handful of voices, the same well-worn pages. Literature is supposed to be a doorway, not a waiting room. It should push students to think, to question, to connect, but for too long we've left them knocking at a closed door, holding a key that no longer fits. That's why a committee of teachers came together, not to erase, not to replace, but to expand. We combed through a lot of books, countless books, to find the ones that do what great literature is meant to do: challenge, inspire, and open minds. So this is our journey from August 2022, and now we're in 2025. We asked ourselves tough questions. What books will make students sit up and lean in instead of check out? What stories will stretch their thinking without breaking their spirits? What narratives will stay with them long after the last page is turned? We were methodical. We didn't just pick books because they were popular or new. Every title went through a rigorous process where we considered literary quality, curriculum alignment, instructional value, and appropriateness for student discussion. We worked within the existing framework, pairing each new book with units that are already part of our approved curriculum, to ensure that these additions enhance rather than disrupt what is already working in our classrooms. So we approached this with three main things in mind: is student engagement. We sought books that would encourage students to read more actively, connect with the material, and develop stronger literacy skills. Engagement is crucial. When students are invested in what they are reading, they build confidence in their ability to analyze and discuss literature effectively. Another thing is we thought about being responsible about content selection. So literature often explores complex themes, and we were mindful in selecting books that handle sensitive topics in a way that is appropriate for classroom instruction. Every novel was reviewed not only for its literary value, but also for its suitability in a guided learning environment. Teachers play a vital role in framing discussions and helping students navigate challenging themes with maturity and critical thought. The last thing was curriculum alignment. So we already have a curriculum. So every book chosen is intentionally paired with a unit of study that is already part of our current curriculum. This ensures that teachers have the tools they need to integrate these texts seamlessly into their lesson plans, reinforcing key learning objectives. The updated selection provides teachers with additional instructional options, allowing them to adapt their lessons based on student needs and interests while maintaining academic rigor. I do want to say, as you can see, the process wasn't rushed. It was deliberate, it was thoughtful, and designed to provide our students with books that meet high academic standards while also keeping them engaged in learning. So I want to look at two of the novels for ninth grade that we picked. One of them you can see here is American Like Me, and both of them are there, American Like Me and Bronx Masquerade. So with American Like Me, it's a collection of personal essays edited by America Ferrera. You might know her, she's an actress, a Latina actress. It's not a textbook lecture on culture, it's lived experiences. It's athletes, it's actors and writers laying out their own stories of growing up, belonging and not belonging. In our classrooms, it pairs with the personal narrative unit, showing students that their own voices, their own struggles and triumphs are worth writing about. It teaches them that literature isn't just something you study, it's something you live.
God bless you.
Yeah, God bless you. And then there's Bronx Masquerade by Nikki Grimes, a novel written in verse, so it's like in poetry, that drops us into the lives of high schoolers figuring themselves out through poetry. These characters, flawed, real, searching, don't just exist on the page. They echo the voices in every high school hallway. When students read these books, or read this book especially, alongside their poetry and creative writing unit, they aren't just analyzing metaphor and rhyme schemes. They're seeing how words can be power, how self-expression can be survival. So I'm going to move on to 10th grade. With 10th grade, we chose Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. And this book is like, you don't just read it, you devour it. Because Trevor Noah, if you know who he is, he's a comedian. He grew up in South Africa, a very multicultural environment. It's witty, sharp, deeply insightful. Students laugh, they cry, they stop, they think. In our unit on blindness and sight, this memoir pushes students to see history, justice, and identity with new eyes. It asks them to consider the lenses through which we view the world and challenges them to adjust the focus. Another one is Midnight Library. This is the last one I'm going to talk about. It's by Matt Haig, a novel about regret, about second chances, about the infinite what-ifs of life. It's the perfect anchor for our outsiders and outcast unit, inviting students to reflect on belonging, purpose, and the choices that define us. And it's a novel that lingers because who among us hasn't wondered about the paths we could have taken? I'm just thinking myself, like I would pair this with The Road Not Taken. And so you have the old and the new meshing together. So why does this matter? And let me be clear, this is not about replacing Shakespeare and Dickens and even Morrison with something trendy and new and something on the YA list. It's about giving students more ways to engage, more avenues into deep thinking, more tools to sharpen their analytical skills. The classics remain, they're not going anywhere, but they are now in conversation. Like I just gave you an example, the Midnight Library could be in conversation with Robert Frost with The Road Not Taken. But they're now in conversation with contemporary voices. And here's the thing, we don't just want students to read these books, we want them to wrestle with them. We want them to sit with a passage and feel something shift. They are rehearsing for real life, and this gives them an opportunity to do that. We want them to argue over interpretations, to defend their ideas, to change their minds and change them back again, because that's what real learning looks like. These books were not chosen lightly, I cannot say that enough. We went through a lot of different books. Every title was weighed, discussed, and scrutinized. Every book has a place in a structured, rigorous curriculum that challenges students intellectually, while giving them something worth thinking about. And before I hand this over to Dr. Gonzalez, James Baldwin once wrote, "The purpose of education is to create in a person the ability to look at the world for himself, to make his own decisions." That is what we're here to do. We are not just updating a book list. We are updating the way students see the world, the way they see themselves, and the way they see each other. And I truly believe that matters. So thank you so much. I'm going to hand it off to Martha.
Good evening. My name is Teresa Gonzalez, Dr. Teresa Gonzalez from Paris High School. So I'm going to go over, well said, thank you very much. I do not have as much, Okay, so I'm going to go over grade 11 and 12. So I teach 9 and 10, and I have my own personal library in my classroom that donors choose over the last 3 or 4 years. It's a huge library, and a lot of the books on these lists are in that library. And even specifically, especially since we have a cell phone policy, the kids are actually reading more. And what I'm finding is, as they're reading the book, so a student just finished the Trevor Noah book, she came to me and said, "Do you have more like this?" And so I have been, probably this past month, I have bought so many books from Amazon, because as a kid finishes a book, they're like, "Is there a second one to this?" Or I was reading Poet X, and I read just one of the poems, just one of them, to the whole class, and I have 4 copies, they're all gone. And they're like, "Can you get more copies?" So I bought 3 more copies of Poet X. So these books are registering with our students, and we would like to teach them as a whole class. That's why we're here. So for the 11th and 12th, we already have ERWC novels, but within the novels for those ERWC units, there's only 5 for 11th grade and 7 for 12th grade. So there's 2 kind of categories for 11 and 12. There's the ones that are for the ERWC unit, and then there's the ones that they specifically want to adopt for AP. So I'm just going to talk about quickly the 11th grade Book of Unknown Americans. So it's a book about a family that comes from Mexico, specifically for the purpose that their daughter is mentally disabled, is that correct? And so to get help and go to school here in the United States. And that pairs perfectly with the unit in ERWC about immigration, just fits right in. So as a supplement for that one. And then in the 12th grade, Where the Crawdads Sing, so that one is asked for the AP language class. And the teacher that really wanted that is the Miss Brusca, who teaches at Paris High School. And she says that in all the forums and the APs that she's in, it's taught across the United States because of its storytelling and its imagery and let me use her words. So storytelling, the strong writing, and then the message of resilience and overcoming hardships. So the main character comes from like severe poverty and overcomes that and becomes, I believe, a professor in her later life. So I didn't go to the top right. There you go. And then this last slide here is student feedback. So with Mr. Grant, there was the superintendent listening committee. I'm not quite sure when, last year or 2 years ago. I think it was last year because one of those is my student now. But students read a book from the list and then they put their thoughts and they put it on these Legos, and the whole idea was like all these kind of go together. So all the different ideas go together on the books. So in closing, our goal is to provide students with an engaging selection of literature that not only meets academic standards, but also reflects the students' experiences and challenges. By expanding our book list, we ensure our curriculum stays dynamic and relevant. We appreciate your time and consideration in reviewing these novels. Thank you.
That is extremely inspiring, the work that they're doing. This is an information item, and our next item, next month, we would like to bring the novels forward. We'll make sure that you have the list of novels. As an information item, we would maybe ask a question, if you have some questions, and then maybe a question on the direction of how you would like that as a action item at the next board agenda. So if you have questions, or I have a specific question about how the board would like to see that as an action item for the next board agenda, for those novels.
So I just noticed on one, and I forgot which one it was, but it mentioned in the side that there was, one of the books had some derogatory, I guess, material or language. Is there any kind of like idea as to what kind of, just because obviously derogatory can be, very broad.
So I would say it on any of this stuff, the literary merit, it's not just like kind of obligatory like violence where you're just watching Deadpool or something as an example, probably a bad example, but there's no literary merit to Deadpool. Yeah. Am I wrong?
I was back into that.
All right.
Haven't seen. I think different ways.
Okay. So contextualize. I mean, these are things that kids are going to have to deal with. So, like, let's say Dr. Rao mentioned that he wants to wipe out the use of hate speech and the profanity that students use. Well, in novels, in fiction, they get a chance to experience it because they're going to experience that outside of high school. So, in this controlled environment where they're having an imagined rehearsal for life, it's contextualized. It's not. I know what happens, and I understand what happens. In board meetings, somebody comes up and reads something out of context, and you're like, the sky is falling, they're reading this out of context. But it is the teacher's job to take difficult things and contextualize it and help kids deal with it. You will have the list of novels if you would like. I also can share that they did put like a teacher's gloss of more specificity for teachers, of columns on what specific topics there were. But rest assured, it's not just the blue one.
I mean, for me, if possible, in the process of doing that, wherever there's the profanity or whatever, my thing is frequency and how much, you know what I mean? Because if it's just a book that's a tirade lace of profanities, I guess I'm thinking, okay, was there a different book that could have done that without that kind of message? So if possible, if that just could be added, just so we have an idea, because obviously, we have a vast group of parents that have ideologies from, right to left. It's broad. And so, one might find it, oh, that's completely fine. We talk like that in my home. And one might say, well, that's completely offensive. We don't talk like that in our home. And so it's obviously being projected upon all the students. So for my, request, if you could just expand on that, and maybe if so, for example, Dr. Rouse mentioned today the N-word. So if it's something that's derogatory, and I understand that the teachers will be the ones to kind of guide it and say, well, this is how people spoke back then or whatever. But that way, at least we understand what's kind of out there, as opposed to getting the letter from the parent, or from someone coming up at a board meeting and reading that out there. And that's just completely like, oh, we didn't know that. Obviously, the more we know, the more we can step in and defend why we decided what we decided. And so I would appreciate that. That way, at least I kind of know, profanity. Okay,
And I think that's great, and I like the way the board's talking about it, because I would be more than happy on any of these topics to make sure that we're able to address those concerns. They're in fiction and in novels, authors will put in things that are hate speech, and we learn from it. These things that are happening, these are real things that are happening in the world, and this gives us an opportunity to deal with it.
Mr. Williams, I can see what Mr. Campos is mentioning here. Always we talk about honesty, integrity, and transparency. So he's raising a really good point from the perspective that they are the ones who are going to make a decision, right? So it is fair to be completely transparent and provide the specific, where it says cautionary material, even some samples or copies of what we are talking about. So they know what they are approving, right? Because it will be fair for them, how he said, until they have a parent right here that are going to say, oh, is that what we approve? You didn't even read it. You didn't even know what you approved, right? So that is our commitment with everybody, right? In that way also, they can discuss here in open session, once they have the information, what they are concerned about, right? And our constituents, they know the philosophy, right, of the board, of each board member, in terms of where do they stand on those ideas. Because that is the cornerstone of the public meetings, right? That our constituents know what are the elements, what is the information that the representatives, because they are elected officials, they were elected by our members of our community, right? What information is what they are taking in consideration and how they are arriving at those decisions and why they voted one way or the other one. So if we can please provide copies, not only in general, right, profanity. And as school administrators, we have some here, when we have a report from somebody, oh, he used profanity. No, you need to say specifically, right? And write it down, even though it's uncomfortable to do that, because that is going to depend, right? What is going to be, you are able to evaluate the magnitude of that profanity. So if we can do that, unless they would like to even have something even more info, I think that's what I would be asking for them to have.
So I have a comment. So the other year, we had a special session, study session, I don't remember, but we talked about all the novels. And one thing that we talked about was, and I even talked to you about it, was, first of all, I want to thank you all for your hard work and time that you put into reading everything and getting this done. This is important to us too. So please don't take anything out of context. It's like he said, we're elected and we represent people, so we hear everything, good, bad, negative. Let me think about it. I'll get back to you, all that. My concern was I want to hear people who are on the committee being from the community. I wanted them to be part of this committee. And we've had this conversation. So me not hearing about it, I'm kind of disappointed. But on the other hand, it goes back to all the hard work you guys are putting. And I think it's important because the demographics in every trustee area is different. And I know in my trustee area, our culture, a lot of us wouldn't tolerate some of the stuff that's in here. So the issue that I'm dealing with is, okay, we have board policy, we have administrators who deal with students who are cursing in class and they have to somehow reprimand them. So how do we bring a balance to that? Even though it's from a book and we're talking about life stories, how do we address that? We're condoning inappropriate content, inappropriate language, but yet we have rules and guidelines in board policy and school policy saying you don't cuss, you don't dress a certain way, you don't act a certain way, but yet it's kind of like double standard. So that's where I wanted the community to come in and have a voice. And if they speak loud enough, of course we're going to respond to that. So I think that's where I'm at.
A couple of things. When the students, correct me if I'm wrong, when the students signed up to take some of the books home, parents signed off on those. Parents from the community were part of some of these sessions,
Good.
right?
Good.
So first of all, I am more than happy to take input for future enhancements. We didn't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater because we wanted to get these novels through. I just also want to contextualize in literature and in writing and reading. So here's an example I used last time, and you mentioned values. There's a book that's an approved book. It's called A Place Where the Sea Remembers. And in that book, there's a person who's contemplating something that has different values than other people. They were contemplating abortion. And it's in a novel and it's contextualized. And what the opportunity that happened for this character that was dealing with this, the way that it was handled, we let the students know. There's a character in this book that has different values and different values than parents. It's a perfect opportunity to talk about your values to your parents. It's not indoctrination. It is not trying to convince them to do this stuff. It is real life things that are happening. So I just wanted to be clear that we're not condoning it. We're not condoning hate speech when there's hate speech. It's used as an example to prove a point that hate speech is bad. How else are they going to get that proof, right? How else are they going to get that proof of the raw, harsh reality of hate speech in life? They get it through fiction. It's kind of jarring, but they have the opportunity to work through it because that's the reality. So it's just not obligatory hate speech. We're not indoctrinating people into values that run counter. They have the opportunity to discuss those values with their teachers. And we're not condoning it. We're not condoning, like, I read Heck Fun with the kids every year. I happen to never say the N-word when we read it. All right? So I'm not condoning the use of that, but that word was so powerful, and it's so powerful what was going on, that nobody would claim, hopefully, that Mark Twain was a racist because he used it, right? And I know that's an old book. So just to be clear, having that type of speech is not condoning it in a book. It's not indoctrination.
But we're allowing it. Do you see what I'm saying? I've worked in education for 25 years. It didn't sound like it when I just started, but we also show videos in classrooms, and sometimes there's inappropriate content, language. It's kind of the same thing from my perspective. I'm more concerned about how the students will respond to this, and that I think we have to find a way to create data for us to make an educated decision. Obviously, we're not doing that right now, but these books that are up here, I kind of would like to read myself, to get a better understanding, even though I have a summary. And, I'm not trying to be mean, but this is an opinion from an educator. What about opinion from the student? What about an opinion from the community members? Because not every culture would agree with this. Maybe they will. Whatever the majority is, that's what we're going to do. Well, in my opinion. And that's what I'm going to do. So that's just where I stand.
Mr. Williams, I just want to take the opportunity. Thank you for explaining and all the concepts. So if you can add something else, if that's okay with the board, I'm just thinking ahead, because we want to provide the information for you to make an educated decision, right, based on your philosophies and the community that you are representing. You're completely right on your explanation, Mr. Williams. Identifying the specific words and also providing the context, because it is important to understand, right, the context under where those words or those passages or those expressions were it came up, right? So if we can add that little bit of, do you think that would be possible?
So partially, I don't have my laptop open, but there is material that was provided by the committee, 3 or 4 columns. Like this was a presentation, so we didn't put all the material in here. But there was, as we discussed in January, we do want to ensure that teachers are prepared to effectively teach in context, in the unit. Yeah. It's within the unit, the literary merit, the complexity connected to the standards, more works of literature that represent them, so they see themselves in learning. So I hear my kind of guidance for the next presentation for the information item is to share with you the list, share with you the material that was prepared. If, when we review it, if in that material that's prepared that we hand over to teachers, if we see that there's a level of insufficiency that we would want to prep you on, we'd be able to do that. But rest assured, as long as I'm here, so let me go. As long as I'm here, we're going to make sure that we prep teachers for this. This is so important to us that we're going to prep teachers for it, right? And from what I understand, that it's not mandatory.
Right.
Oh.
There's an opt-out.
So from
That's
what I
big.
understand,
That's big.
it's not mandatory. However, the teachers are clamoring for it. Teresa shared that I got to pay her. She's bought all these novels on GoFundMe, and I got to make sure that these. I can tell you that a couple teachers are. Please get the NOAA one. Please get these ones through. They're clamoring for it. So there is opt-outs. But so to answer your question, the teacher gloss material, if it's not fully contextualized, we can prepare that for you.
And also, just to clarify, if you can expand also for information to the board members, it is not mandatory, and if the parent of the student,
That's
it
true
is
also.
not, they are going to have options.
That's also
Right? Okay, I think that is important to provide all of that for them to make the decision.
We got there, right?
Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Williams.
So one of the questions would be, procedurally, in the years past, the action item was the list, right? The list. So would you want the action item as a list, or would you want them one by one as items that you would vote on?
Oh,
but we can.
Well, as a list, because we could amend it, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Right. So the direction we're getting, obviously provide you the list, provide you the teacher gloss material. If it's not fully contextualized, provide that to you. Clarify the opt-out process for the teacher, clarify the opt-out process for the parents, clarify that also, what this also does is, I think the committee mentioned that if these novels are not being used within the units of study, they could be like a reading circle type of options, right? So a teacher could offer these novels as a reading circle. So if there was a list of 5, the students could choose the ones that they feel spoke to them. And they could also avoid the ones that they feel, that might not be something I want to read. So there's that other level of opting into books and then opting out of books.
Yeah, no, and you know what, and I kind of want to second what Mr. Garcia says. Thank you guys for the work you guys are putting in. We understand that there's a lot in there, and today's student isn't what I grew up with. You know, I know things have changed, and that's where sometimes we're disconnected, but sometimes at the same time we don't know if that aligns with, you know, some of the values of the parents and the students, you know, and the way that they've grown up and the way that they've been taught. And so we just want to make sure that we're respectful for everybody. You know what I mean? You know, those students who will thrive off of it and get it and can learn from it in a different way, great. You know, but at the same time, it could be another student that it might traumatize or it might completely go against what they believe. And we have to take that into consideration because that student has just as much rights as the other one to make sure that their needs are being met academically. And so, you know, obviously adding a counter, or not a counter, but something maybe similar, depending on the topic. Because I understand if it's just one thing that they talk about in one specific, you know, it's not the theme of the book, but it's just an incident that happens. I get that. And that's, I guess, up to the teacher on, you know, you mentioned the situation with abortion. Do they go into the full scale, or do they just say, hey, that's kind of what happened in the book, and they move on, as opposed to putting in both sides of the argument and making sure that, you know, if one is represented, that there's a discussion also for the other to have a balance to understand. So that's kind of where, for me, it's just like, you know what, the more that I kind of understand, the better. And I will say this, you know, I think textbook adoption is extremely important because, you know, parents nowadays are making decisions on where their kids to school based on what they think the kind of education that their kid's going to get. And so they're going to look at stuff and they're going to comb through things and they're going to talk to their neighbors and they're going to do things. And, you know, the last thing that we want to see is that we are not pushing away, you know, students, parents, families who want to come to the school district based on something. And obviously we will take the responsibility for the actions that we take on how we vote and what we approve, because it does fall on that's our purview, that's our decision. So we understand that. I just want to make sure that it's kind of, it's laid out. You know what I mean? It's laid out. We know exactly what we're voting on. And then we determine, you know, from there whether we support it and approve it or we do not. So,
and I'm going to use an old cliche with literature. So I would also say that in a lot of these contextualized scenarios, here's why they don't tell both sides of the arguments, is because good novels show don't tell. They don't go through every nuance. It's what the characters' actions do and they respond. So the way that it's laid out there, you're experiencing that way. So it's not like a position piece or a legal piece in literature. The authors and the best authors don't just tell you, they just show you through what the characters are doing, and that's where we learn, right? And sometimes it's ambiguous, and often the best ones are ambiguous, and it's left for the reader to kind of fill in the blanks of the ambiguity, and that's the beauty of literature. So
Right.
to answer your question, like
Yeah.
it's never really like a legal case on some of these things.
Right. Well, and you know, just to mention, you know, authors can many times have a position that they're expressing through their literature, and so that's what I mean about, you know what I mean. It's just like it depends on what author you're choosing and what message they're choosing, because you know many authors have agendas. You know, a lot of people might have them. Some don't. Some might just be, hey, this is a story, and that's why I think it's important on how the message, because the message can be a great story, and the way that it's presented, I understand. But you know, does it have to be in a profanity-laced, derogatorial way? My opinion would say no. But I understand today's world. You know, I try not to stay in that world, but I understand the world is the world. You know what I mean? And we have our issues, but at the same time, I just want to kind of minimize, you know, what we're going to affect students' learning, parents, and how they feel. So
the direction we're provided is, you know, we'll provide you like the full list. We'll provide you the teacher gloss material. If it's not fully contextualized, we'll do our best to contextualize it. Any conversations you need with me to say, you know, put it in better context. Bring them to the board, one big item. If you wanted to, you know, line item out. And just so you know, your suggestions about how future adoptions and committees should go, absolutely, not a problem. We just don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
So we want to move forward. But absolutely, I love it. And it all just follows Dr. Arao's pillars about community input. Not a problem.
Yeah. I want to say, for the most part, I'm in agreement. And like I said, my biggest concern is more of the sexual graphic dialogue. That's what I feel personally I need to avoid, because after that one meeting, I don't know about you, well, not everybody else, but I had a lot of conversations and it wasn't healthy. So
I think we're in a healthy place now.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? No. Okay.
All right. I think that the questions did not count against my time for that presentation.
All right, thank you very much. 12.2, Community Schools Fundamentals Presentation. It's Amanda Wade.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent, Dr. Rouse, and Cabinet. Well, we are back. Collectively, we are going to provide you with an update on our community schools. If you go to the next slide, I just want to share for our new board members, we did receive the community schools grant. Thank you. And so this is just kind of a little reminder. So we were awarded last year the implementation grant. 4 of our schools were awarded: Heritage High School, Paris, Penicotti, and Paris Lake. Liberty and Paloma did not make the cut because of the demographics. And so our award was $7.3 million. And so we are working collaboratively with RCOE, and tonight I have Amanda Wade from Riverside County Office of Ed, coordinator of the Community Schools Partnership, and she's going to provide an update just what Community Schools 101, and I want to thank Cynthia because she was helping us last week, and so I'm just glad that she was able to share her thoughts on her experience with the training. So I'm going to turn it over to Amanda so we can get through the presentation, and we'll be here for questions after.
Good evening, Board President, Superintendent, and board members. Thank you for having me here this evening. So the Riverside County Office of Education Community School Partnership serves as a technical assistance provider for the county's 7 districts and 59 schools that have the California Community Schools Partnership Program grant. It's a very long name. We are part of the Southern Inland Regional Technical Assistance Center, also a very long name, that is led by the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools. And so we'll play this very short video for you. It's a nationwide video that's been distributed to give a brief synopsis of what a community school is.
What makes a school a great school? Caring for the whole child, expanding the horizons of learning, building relationships with families, working together to realize a shared vision. This is the school every student needs. This is a community school. Community schools are public schools that partner with stakeholders to create the conditions students need to thrive. Community schools can be found across the United States, and their numbers are growing fast. But what exactly makes a school a community school? They integrate student supports. Clinics, counselors, and other services ensure each and every student is ready to learn. They expand and enrich learning. Extended school days, summer programs, and real-world experiences help students reach their full potential. They engage families and communities. Partnering with residents to identify and meet community needs makes everyone feel safe, welcome, and involved in school. They lead in collaboration. Inclusive decision-making and peer learning builds trust among students, educators, families, and communities. When a school stands on these 4 pillars, it's a community school. Research supports this 4-pillar approach, but there's no one-size-fits-all model. Every community school is different because each community is different. Figuring out what it looks like in your community starts by getting actual community members involved. That's the full-time job of community school coordinators. They're the human bridge connecting all the partners and stakeholders that make community schools possible. So that's what makes a school a community school. Now, how do you pay for it? Startup costs like hiring a full-time coordinator can be raised from foundations or state and local governments. Tapping into existing funding and partnering with local businesses can bring in service providers. Sharing resources and staff with partners can help everyone do more. And as a community school becomes more established, leaders can advocate for budgets that sustain their impact and new funding to expand it. Every community school is different. What will yours be like? Get started at communityschools.futureforlearning.org. What makes a school a great school?
No. So you'll see on this presentation, you'll see on this presentation here that I've provided and that you should be able to have access to different key pieces of information and resources for community schools within the state of California. There is a YouTube playlist that's got 4 short videos that can be disseminated to the community and have been posted publicly on our community school partnership, social media. I've included the framework, which outlines not only the 4 pillars, but also the overarching values and the key practices for learning. And then as well as the capacity building strategies I've also included. These are important because it will allow you to understand the structures and systems that will need to be in place in order to carry out the goals of community schools for the length of the grant, which is about 5 years. So a community school, just I'll review really quickly some of the things that were mentioned in the video, but essentially it is creating a hub for community services on school campuses that benefits students and the community surrounding the school in order to eliminate barriers to learning. And so the focuses of those supports and structures are around academics, social, emotional, behavioral, mental well-being, and physical health. And physical health can be health care, but it can also be basic needs care as well. So that's food, clothing, wash facilities, and which can be a true barrier to learning for some of our students. Communities where community schools thrive really include educators, families, local organizations, and students in their planning. And they are really creating a place where shared decision making and collaboration are a part of how community schools are built. Wanted to also give you a brief structural breakdown of how the state aligns its partnerships. The state has Alameda County Office of Education as its state transformational assistance center. The State Transformational Assistance Center has its own partners, and then San Bernardino, as the lead for this region, has its own partners as well. So I've included a list of those. So a brief synopsis of the 4 pillars: integrated student supports, which I just briefly went over, all of the types of services and supports that can be offered on a school campus. Family and community engagement, so that's increasing the amount of family and community engagement opportunities throughout school years, but also extending it beyond the school year through the extended learning and opportunities pillar. The extended learning and opportunities pillar is not only ELOP, as in after school care, before school care, it's also enriching the learning opportunities that are present within the school day and outside of the school day in summer and in winter. So that's providing externships, internships, apprenticeships, and real collaborative learning opportunities with community-based organizations as well as business partners. And then the last piece there is collaborative leadership practices for educators and administrators. When we talk about shared power for community schools, it might be kind of a new thing to talk about when we're sharing power with students and when we're sharing power with families in decision making. So part of the professional development provided for our educators and administrators is how to collaboratively and collectively make decisions. And then the overarching values is also a piece of community school building. Racially just and relationship-centered schools is value 1. Shared power, like I just said, is value 2. Classroom community connections, which is part of the pillars for community engagement and engaged learning, and then a focus on continuous improvement. So community schools, in its inception, is a whole child initiative, and continuous improvement with any kind of initiative is required. And so just to give you a brief synopsis of kind of what we went over with your staff members, your students, and your educators this past Friday, was really looking at the transformational needs and assets assessment. Because community schools are all different, you really need to understand deeply what your community at your school needs. So we walked through how to prepare some deep listening questions and engage in empathy interviews and engage in study groups for your school sites to really determine what their needs are, what their assets are, and then move forward with their plans for their community schools. And then I'll skip over this, but this is a brief synopsis of the 5 pieces of the rubric. It's essentially a rubric by which the community schools need to guide their work. So it outlines some key actions for each of these pieces, and then some key questions to kind of guide your thinking in each of these sections. Your school sites as well as your district will look at this rubric as a way of, not a punitive rubric, but as a way of guiding and reflecting on the work thus far. And they'll do that yearly in an annual progress report. And that will be for the next 5 years. And then at the end of the 5 years, you'll also have an end of project report. And that's all given to the California Department of Education. Okay, and so just a brief rundown of everything that we covered on February 7th, which I will tell you was absolutely fantastic to see students and educators collaborating in this way. I give you, you should be very proud of your staff and your students for the way that they conducted themselves, the work that they put in, and really how invested your students were in the process. Absolutely great to see. We went over kind of the makeup of community site-based teams, the 4 pillars, overarching values that I just went over, capacity building strategies, the needs and assets assessment, and then we gave them some time to plan in their teams based on the conversations that they had about their needs and assets assessment. And so they were given some time to kind of think about next steps. We also we'll be working on a session with your district leadership to help everybody to understand where community schools are going within your district, but also how all of your community interacts with community schools and can take part in the work of community schools. So everywhere from your classified staff, to classified management, certificated management, how you all are building that work together. And then I believe you'll continue focusing on messaging and branding to all of your community educational partners. This is just a brief slide to show the work that was done. You've got, you can see there on the left side, you've got each group or each school site team worked on next steps, what they took away from the day. Like I said, it was incredible to see the work that they put in. And then I've included my contact information as well as resources from our county, from the CERTAC, the Regional Technical Assistance Center, and the State Technical Assistance Center as well. That's it. Do you have any questions?
Okay.
They'll have questions probably later. We'll continue to provide you updates for sure as we move through the process.
Before I jump in, I want to thank the team. I did not have a chance to stay the whole time at the training at Heritage High School. We did see some pictures of the live. The kids were so excited. I know I don't see any current Paloma admin in the room, but those students, like they took over. Paloma students took over, and it was all over their social media page too. So it was a great.
And it was a highly academic conversation. The information that we gave them was not like, it was adult academic conversations, so you should be very proud of them.
But Paloma's not one of the.
No, they didn't. They did not receive the grant, as did Liberty. But the direction from our cabinet is that we will, what we do for one, we're going to do for all. So we will provide the same resources and support for all of our schools and all the community.
The messaging and branding, what do you mean by that?
So we'll be using social media. I mean, we've just started this process. I mean, we want our community to know that we have a community school and that there's resources that they can access on site. We also want to, we need to also inform our staff across the district at each of the schools what is coming. And that's really taking a lot of the pieces, as was mentioned before, that we have and putting it all together and messaging that these resources are now available at each of the schools.
It's important to be transparent in the work because the goal is to be collaborative. So your messaging should really display the work that's being done, but also your vision for what's to come.
Yeah, one question then.
Yes.
The budget for the community schools with us is a district allocation or is different for every school?
It's a district allocation.
Okay.
Yes.
How are we going to determine how much money to satisfy the specific needs?
So we had last year when we received it, when Dr. McNair was here, if some of you might remember, we did a board presentation on the award and the breakdown. So we can bring the budget piece back again. I can share with Joe. So when we wrote the grant, we had to propose a budget. And that was additional staffing, for mental health, for our community liaisons, for social workers. So we do have a budget that was submitted along with the initial grant.
Yes, for the we have two new board members, as you know. Can you please provide the same info?
Of course.
Send it to us, and I will send it to all of you,
Yes.
to the five
Yes.
of them. Yeah. And with the desegregation, one clarifying question for them. Can you tell them, are we already using the budget in the schools that qualify?
Yes, because I think some of the social workers are being funded out of there, so we have some of those pieces, those people in place.
Exactly.
And then the ERMS therapist, which is our behavior and substance abuse. Sorry, I'm having trouble. Yes. So some of those have already been hired and doing the work at the site.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, that's for our board to know. Thank you.
What grades did this encompass? Just high school?
TK, PK through 12.
Okay. Okay.
Question: how did you select the students to join in? I mean, did you your A's and B's students, or did you a
No,
mixture
we
of
have,
everybody?
so we when Grant was here, we had and actually it goes back to Dr. Newman, when we had our previous assistant superintendent, we created a student voice council and a committee. And so, and part of that is really working with the site administrators to get representation across the board, whether there are English learners, socioeconomically disadvantaged youth, our foster youth, our homeless youth, our leaders, our ASD. So we left it up to the sites to give us a disaggregation and representation of their schools. So we continue to work with, some of those kids have been with us for a couple of years that have been on our superintendent's committee, and Dr. Rouse will be meeting them on Friday because we have a superintendent's listening session. So we're going to be sharing the community schools with that as well, and some of the other topics that you shared tonight as well. So those students are selected from the counselors and the site admin, and they represent across a mix of all of our students.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, 12.3, the Local Control Accountability Plan, mid-year update.
Hello again. Sort of a recap of what I mentioned with the LCAP from CMI. So for those of you new, the LCAP is a 3-year plan. It's a 3-year plan that's updated annually. So the LCAP budget, we align funding goals with strategies to improve student outcomes. And so part of the slide decks, there's a lot of words there, but we're going to focus on the student outcomes and the achievement. And part of the discussion has to do with, especially this year with the preparation of this LCAP document, is making sure that like John Hannon's going to have some few things to say because he's part of the budget and how security enhances safety on campus, which allows for learning. Charles Tippy's going to go into goal 1. So the whole team's going to kick in to making sure that we encapsulate it on where's the funding going, so that we're focusing on outcomes and student achievement. Okay, so there's 4 outcome goals, in case you aren't aware of them. So all students will attain proficiency in ELA and math, and we have some descriptions of that. All students will graduate from high school prepared for post-secondary career options. That will include CTE options and other opportunities. All departments will provide a safe and positive learning environment. We have some little items for safety and security. Mr. Hannon will jump in on that conversation. Secure to strengthen home and community connections. Strong community connections with our parent liaisons. Some of the expenditures that we put forward with Parent Square is going to be relevant on that. And then the goal 5, specifically focusing on our students who needed other interventions. And Paris Lake High School, even at one point in time, we had our Paris Lake extensions and Scholar Plus Online, that they will also demonstrate measurable outcomes. And those are, prior to this, we had 4 LCAP goals, but we wanted to make sure that we were focusing on interventions for students. All right, so I don't need to read the budget numbers, but this is currently as adopted. And then the revised budget, I'm not in business services, I'm not part of what Diane does, but these numbers come in at different times, right? They come in with the May revise, and this was kind of locked down before that May revise. How'd I do? No, I did not. I'm not business services.
Good evening, and I have the pleasure of sharing our goal number 1 update. So goal number 1 is focused on proficiency in English language arts and math. It really does encompass all content areas though. The Common Core standards really expect students to be literate across multiple areas. So kind of an example of that, you might read poetry with one lens and one kind of strategy or technique. Would be a lot different than reading a scientific journal report. A historical document might look a little bit different than those other 2 genres. So Common Core is focused on all areas. The metrics are the ELA and math indicators, so that's how the dashboard, California dashboard, measures us on those. Our focus for this goal or action has been focused professional development. During our PD days, we've had our academic coaches work with our teachers on implementing those literacy strategies, teaching teachers how to provide effective reading strategies, making their classes engaging. One of the big focus Mr. Williams mentioned earlier was our focus on student engagement. We want kids to be actively involved in their learning. That'll help us with our attendance. We want kids there and active. So that's been a big focus on the PD side. We've also partnered with RCOE, Riverside County Office of Education. They've done a lot of trainings with our English and math teachers on understanding the standards, what the expectations for students are, understanding the frameworks, what the best practices for instruction and implementing those standards are, and then really, really importantly, the understanding the assessment. So they've gone through, all the ELA and math teachers have gone through training with RCOE, understanding how these new standards are coming in. They're very different from when we went to school. It's very much different having a question and then 4 options, and you choose one of them, you have a 25% chance of getting it right. Now our students are expected to read a passage. They might be asked to write a claim and then use evidence from the text supporting that claim. So there's a big difference on what our students are expected to do now from the past. Our ELA indicator, the dashboard is organized by 5 different colors. So it starts with red, orange, yellow, and then green and blue. So our ELA was right in the middle at a yellow. We did increase 5.6 points. So that's a nice improvement from the previous year. Our math indicator was in orange, but we had an increase of 12 points. So 15 points, just for reference, is the starting point of the most significant growth you can have. So it was good to see our students do a lot better in math than compared to the previous year. Goal number, or action 1.2, this is our Scholar Plus, focused on our Scholar Plus educational technology program that we work on. I had the pleasure of working with Mr. Williams under his leadership over 10 years ago. And the great thing about this plan was it was always focused on student outcomes, what students will be able to do with the technology, not about the devices. So it wasn't just handing out devices to students and teachers. It was really what would they be able to do, what authentic learning opportunities would students have because of the technology. Because once again, we're focused on that student engagement in the classroom. We want our kids to attend school, and that's a big part of it. And I've been working with our state testing program since 2008. I remember back in 2013, the state came out and said all of these state test assessments are going to be delivered on the computers now. And that was a big shift for many districts. A lot of districts struggled with that. But because of Joe's leadership and the work of our technology TOSAs, we've been really prepared to administer those assessments. And now our students can demonstrate what they know and not get hung up on the technology. Another big benefit on my end especially, I'll let Joe add on to this as well, but our improvement on the LPAC and CASP interim assessment block usage. So IABs are interim assessments that kind of break up the summative test into different chunks. So you might have a test on reading informational text or one on reading literary text on research. So it kind of breaks it down for the students, but it's the exact same technology, the exact same item type. So those different ways of assessing the standards can have a significant impact. So as of this morning, we've administered 16,589 assessments for our students. So, and keep in mind too, the seniors don't test, it's only certain grade levels. It's 5 through 8 and grade 11. So I really feel this action has been supportive of our students and our teachers, because now the kids will walk in, they know the technology, they know the item types. The teachers have been able to look at the data on the different domains. So we spent a lot of time with our ELD teachers in particular, and we looked at how did our students perform on listening versus speaking in the oral production domain. How did they perform in reading versus writing? And then we were able to even drill it down from the district level, school level, classroom level, and most importantly, the individual student level, so that our teachers and students know where they're at and what they need to do to improve. So I know this is his baby, so did you want to add anything?
So as Charles did comment about my push to make sure that teachers are doing the interim assessments and how we're monitoring that they're using the interim assessments and how students are taking those interim assessments and how the teachers are using the data. They're using that data in their PLCs. They're using that data to almost kind of like a predictive analysis on how kids might do on official testing, given certain conditions. And so with this specific 1.2, technology is not going away with education resources and textbooks. So we need to make sure that we're prioritizing, that we have a refresh policy, that we're making sure that it's integrated, making sure that it's supported. So the expenditures that you see on here are for support, are for equipment, are for teachers on assignments to assist in this integration. And that has led to that when students are testing, they're not doing poorly because of the technology. It's an actual reflection of what they can do. So we're high on that, where the teachers have access to these interim assessments.
And then our action 1.3, this action is focused specifically on our English learners. Once again, the PD for this year with our designated ELD teachers, we've really focused on analyzing that data in PLCs, looking at strengths, weaknesses, where we're at. Do we need to focus more on our listening domain or our reading domain? What are the strategies? How are the students assessed? So that was a really good insight from one of our PDs. So listening is a really good example that when we first started looking at the data, teachers were under the impression that they're just listening to something and then they're going to write down what they heard. It's kind of like this meeting right now, and I know based on the questions that you've asked, you're listening to these presentations with the intent of supporting our students, supporting our community, and you're listening with a purpose. So the same thing with the LPAC, it's now no longer requiring just comprehension, it's requiring the student to listen with an intent and a purpose. What is the speaker trying to accomplish in that presentation? Then we a big part of this is class size reduction. So we've lowered class sizes in the designated ELD classes because there's additional monitoring and interventions for students in those, for EL students. So having smaller class sizes really allows teachers to build more rapport with the students. They know their LP levels, so we worked with them to use a platform called Elevation where they can identify the students' needs. They fill out monitoring forms, identify where their strengths and weaknesses are, and really focus on those additional interventions. We've also been, Mr. Campos, you've asked questions in past meetings about, and Mr. Dotson mentioned it as well. How are we supporting our students once they reclassify out of the EL program? So one of the things that we're doing, he mentioned those assessments that we do district-wide. One of the other things that we're doing with our TutorMe online platform, we've identified English learners and recently reclassified English learners. Students have been reclassified in the last 4 years. Identified those students, how many of them have D's and F's. We have them listed out by name, and then we're doing additional targeted outreach to parents and then and families and students and ELD teachers. We've shared this at DLAC meetings. They were sharing it at their ELAC meetings, professional development. We really want our students to be able to use that platform and get help when they need it because it's a really great tool. So that's one of the examples of what we're doing. The metrics on this action, you'll hear the LP. It's the English Learner Progress Indicator. We had an orange status of last year. That was a 5.3% increase from last year. But based on all of the data analysis that we've done, the work that we've done with teachers, been able to pinpoint exactly where we went south on that, and then what we can do to improve on it. Our reclassification rate is 17.2%. That's really good. And in previous years, prior to COVID, is around the 8 to 12% range. So we're really proud of that as well. And then we have kind of touched on the big expenditures here, but these are all of them for goal number 1. The rest of the team will share information on goal 2, 3, and 4, but these are laid out by the different action categories, 1.1, 2, and 3.
So on the slides, you saw that we were able to have some teacher pull-out days, teacher professional development, and other things like that. The expenditure for TutorMe, which is the online tutoring that not just ELs can use, but the specific expenditures tied to outcomes for Goal 1. All right, I have the pleasure of doing Goal 2, which students will graduate from high school prepared to post-secondary career options, right? So some of the great work that we've had on Goal Point 2 is we've had an increase in graduation rates. Our AP enrollment jumped from 1,667 to 2,025, with a pass rate increased to 52%. I do need to look to see which subject matters we jumped to 52%, because in the past there's some subject matters that students struggle with. But I'm going to let you know that for this specific slide that we're making sure that LCAP is specifically focused on enhancing and expanding support, including interventions, including tutoring. So we're focusing on best first instructional practices, as you know, at the beginning of the year. We were making sure that our professional development was focusing on best first instruction, focusing on minimizing distractions and maximizing classroom time. And we've also had some expenditures on our PLC teams. The PLC work that the teachers do is vital in a root cause analysis, like was mentioned earlier, so that they can see where their students are struggling. And we've seen an increase in achievement here. So for CTE Pathways, we have an awesome CTE program here, and I know that we're always looking at making sure that we can enhance opportunities for students for CTE Pathways. So we've increased enrollment in Pathways. We've had part of the work here, of course, has to do with that we have the Pathways at Liberty High School. Shout out to Erica Tejeda. She's still here. And the CTE Pathways, when it comes to preparing students on this LCAP goal for post-high school life, the big majority of them might not be going to college, right? They want to, and maybe they're delaying that, right? But these CTE Pathways and these real world opportunities are a game changer for our students. Connected to this is giving students a reason to come to school other than traditional school, right? This draws kids to the school. These pathways and opportunities draw kids to school and draw them to making sure that they're making progress. So when we're talking about college and career, I know that we've done some, the work out of Ed Services was realigning courses for A through G. And we did struggle a little bit in the years past on A through G completion. But we've expanded dual enrollment opportunities, as Dr. Rouse said. We're going to continue to expand dual enrollment opportunities. We're looking at work-based learning. And we haven't fully implemented our internship program. As you know, those items have been brought to the board, and we're moving forward with that. But part of that option is giving students opportunity for real world life opportunities connected to post high school careers. So these are some of the expenditures. Obviously, we have we pay for some of the ag teachers, the CTE teachers. AP testing and all that kind of stuff. We work with part of this is a big expenditure. Through our LCAP, we're able to fund years ago more instructional minutes, and that was built intentionally. Like when we added the 7-period day, that the LCAP was allowed us to kind of absorb that. Other districts, they couldn't absorb those many additional extra minutes. So that's a big expenditure, but we know it's paying off. LCAP 3. Oh, wow.
Good evening, Board President Campos, board members, and Dr. Arau. For Goal 3, it talks a lot about student engagement. Mr. Williams has brought up and talked a little bit about making sure that our students are involved and enrolled and connected to our schools. One of the programs that we have that we're very proud of is our BAR program that's at Paris High School. And BAR stands for Building Assets, Reducing Risks program. That program, so a few highlights from last year, that we had a 6% decrease in the failure rate of ninth graders, 26.3% decrease in chronic absenteeism, and this is all at Paris High School. There are things that each of the school sites that are that's going on. And one of the highlights also that I want to make sure that I give is a Care Solace update. Those are the referrals for mental health services that we have done out. We've had 7,622 total communications. Those are extra referrals and 134 cases that we've done for Care Solace, which is our outside organization for mental health that helps students after hours and during the weekend. Another goal, I've loved having Dr. Rao as our superintendent because laser focus on attendance has been one of his visions. And one of the things that we are very proud of is working with our attendants. Last year, we reduced our chronic absenteeism. It decreased by 6.1% to 41.8%, and that was already advertised on our California dashboard. Something else, and working with our business department, they pulled these numbers for our P1 report, and this is out of IC that we have. I feel like Mr. Campos a little bit. I'm going to squint a little bit. And yes,
Can
sir.
I ask a real quick question?
Yes,
What
sir.
did you guys do differently to decrease the student absenteeism rate? Because, as you know, we're dealing with budget, ADA, and attendance issues. What did you do differently, and how can we improve that even more?
Sure, I would contribute it to the very focused training that we did over the summer with our attendance clerks and with our counselors and with our admin. I will also look at things that are being done at Heritage High School. It's really systematizing and taking the best things that are done at each of the sites. I'll give an example. Liberty High School had a great check-in and check-out method using a QR code. We have implemented that district-wide. One of the things I know when I talked about attendance, Mr. Stafford said in September, he talked a little bit about Heritage and how Heritage has it set up so that parents can come in, check out students. And I want to highlight the laser focus like Dr. Rao has given us with Heritage High School. Heritage High School has a great program set up whereby one of their assistant principals is solely focused on attendance and independent study. And that's something that as a cabinet and as a district, we're going to continue to look at.
Before we talk about that, I
Okay.
want to add something, and that is great that they're doing those things, but I'm also going to attribute to starting out the year focusing on best first instruction, minimizing distractions, maximizing time in the classroom, enforcing our cell phone policy, enforcing our hall pass policy. So having students engaged, making sure that we're using professional development wisely so that the students are engaged in the classroom, not wanting to be absent, not wandering the hallways. So yes, but I would be remiss if I did not talk about the key instructional strategies that get kids to school.
That's it. You answered.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Paloma Valley has the cell phone policy, and it's gone to Paris High School, and each of the sites has something that they're using, again, like Mr. Williams said, to focus on best first instruction. So, and we're going to continue to meet on a monthly basis as an admin team to continue to look at practices and to norm our best practices. Like I was saying, our P1 we increased our ADA by 1.88% to a recapture rate of 90.54%. And again, that's been a focus of ours and with business services and some of the efforts there. So we are going to continue to communicate, and with our community liaisons, something that we've done is from Pupil Services, we've really focused on our home visits for our Tier 3 students. They have made several home visits. I think they have over 200 and some home visits.
Are we collecting data on that?
I do have data on that. I'll make sure that I am.
We can add to the update.
Yep, I'll add to the update. So we have that going on. Wanted to make sure. And then we have 3.3, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Hannon at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Good evening, as we continue this dance. LCAP has provided funding for us to increase our 5-hour campus supervisors to 8 hours. Some of you guys remember doing that. That has allowed us to have supervisors on campus during the full time that our students are on. We have a full, all 10 of our campus supervisors are on campus during that time. We also have used funding for training, important training for our campus supervisors. And this has allowed us, along with our partners, which include our SROs and administrators, amongst many others, for example, to reduce our fights this year, almost 67% from this time last year. As a matter of fact, over the past 6 weeks, we've had 7 fights on all 4 campuses, and 2 campuses have had 0 fights over the past 6 weeks.
What percentage? 67?
67%, 66.9.
I do also want to add and jump in on this, is that a safe school and a secure school is an effective learning environment.
Yeah.
I did call an audible, and I talked about our campus security and our SRO's contribution to school culture and a highly effective school culture. And I did joke, I said, we need to change John's title to Director of School Culture. Because the integration of making sure that we're working with the teams and with the principals to make sure that we're addressing stuff that maybe hadn't been considered before, stuff about like kids double lunching and all these kind of things. And the LCAP, so we're back to expenditures, the LCAP was allowed to get training, the LCAP was allowed to add hours so that the campus supervisors are there all day. And the outcome is here, but the fights, decrease and all that, but the outcome also allows us to focus on safe and secure campuses where it's a highly effective place to teach and learn.
So these actions have allowed us to create a safe and secure campus conducive to teaching and learning.
And I just want to take the opportunity, Mr. Hannon, to say thank you for coordinating the effort. This is this reduction of 66.9 66.9% is not something that we take credit for. That is a team effort from all the staff at the schools, teachers, campus supervisors, teachers are playing an important role helping. So it's everybody working together.
Counselors, wellness centers, social workers.
Everybody, yeah.
Sir.
I have a question. It might be a little off track though. The homeless students, what are we offering them? Say from the simple basics, a kid needs a shower. I mean, he's homeless. He comes to school. He probably needs to change the clothes too. Do we have some way that we're addressing that?
Yes, we do. Our social workers at our campuses work with our homeless and our foster youth. They receive an updated list bi-weekly from our office to update them on who is homeless and foster on their campus. And the social workers actually work with each of our students who are homeless or experiencing homelessness and foster.
Okay.
Well, I'm curious. He said, what about them taking showers and everything? Do we have resources for that?
I would have to look into that.
Yeah, because to me, that was the key point of the question.
Okay.
We do, but this would go along. Why don't kids shower anymore? I don't know. So I was particularly just together to
I was not aware of it.
They don't have a shower. No, in gyms, I mean, we showered. That's the way it was, but things are different now. So the homeless that don't have these facilities available, are they able to use our facilities? I mean, hopefully they're going swimming or something. So, not shower purposes.
Showering, they have access to our facilities, working with our administrative staff. And each school site has hygiene kits housed with our social workers to provide to students.
Okay.
Okay.
Good evening, board. I'm Dr. Rouse, Thank you. I'm Dr. Esmeralda Chalfant. I'm currently the Interim Director of Special Education. I'm happy to be here. I will be addressing 3.4, the action title, as you see it in front of you. And in this one, I'm happy to share that the district's Wellness Center are flourishing, and we are able to provide supports and services to our students that need the wellness support, and providing them the services for their overall well-being. As you can see, there are social workers, and we have 4 social workers, currently hiring 2 more. We have 2 substance intervention specialists. We have 2 behavioral intervention specialists that support that wellness center, and that the social workers are able to reach out for resources, including our 4 ERMS therapists. As you can see there, we have from August through December, these are the data points from August through December, we have over 2,064 visits, student visits to that wellness centers, to the wellness centers collectively. We have done 95 risk assessments. This is when students are showing that they're a risk to themselves or possibly others. The social workers do support the foster youth as well as our McKinney-Vento. There have been over 290 contacts, and the social workers reach out to resources through our Care Solace, through the grant that you just heard with the presentation with Diane, and the RCOE member that are reaching out. So they have additional resources that they do reach out to support these services for McKinney-Vento. And currently, we are supporting our students that are foster youth in McKinney-Vento to purchase their caps and gowns, as well as other events for graduation for our students. So that's all done in collectively through the work through the social work and the wellness centers. Were over 230 referrals going out to either Care Solace or other resources on base to support the needs that are identified by the social workers. There have been over 166 direct services, were either individual or group services based on the need of the student population, and as well as consultation between staff, parents, and outside providers, in about 250. There is a little flyer there linked, should you be interested, that just puts this all collectively together with further information for our wellness centers.
And just like we talked about the expenditures tied to this, right? Social workers, our direct services, our referrals, our assessments, we're making sure that these students, more support means students on campus, more students engaged, and these have increased outcomes for LCAP Goal 3.
All right, we're in the home stretch now. So we have our LCAP Goal 4, which is our community outreach. And so when we look at our first action, we are looking at providing strong communications between staff and community, as well as our students. Most of you are familiar with Peli. You've attended our Peli events at the end of the year. So one way that we do this is to increase participation through our Peli teams. This is our action teams for partnerships, and so we do that at all of our schools. Each of our schools have a team they focus on. This year, again, is attendance. So we are bringing in our outside resources, our families and our moms and dads that come and serve on our Peli teams. So we're very excited that we continue to work on that and attendance as an issue. We give our parents and our community members often opportunities through our DLAC, our DAPAC, our ELAC, our DLAC. I wrote them all out for you so that I know it's alphabet soup, but they are all spelled out there. And school site council opportunities. So this is one avenue for us to engage our community as well as our families to improve our communication and our partnership and our direction as we move forward with our communication. The next one, sorry, I can't see with these glasses or without them. So when we're looking at empowering and building capacity, we're very excited about this participation. We've already exceeded our number of parents attending many of our workshops and trainings. That is just a very short list of some of the things that our office does across the district. There are many site level trainings and opportunities and workshops that are held at the site in our family engagement centers. So right now we haven't even started our spring offerings we've got PK coming at Pinacati. We have our open houses that are coming and opportunities for our parents to participate as well. So we've already exceeded our parent participation rate, and really this is just a head count. So for us, it allows us to kind of gauge how many parents are coming to our events. We have follow-up surveys that will provide that when we report out in our public hearing in June. So we're very happy that we continue. This is one of our strongest areas, is this building capacity for our parents through our workshops and trainings.
And so building stronger partnership with parents is going to equal better attendance, better student achievement. And so these are why we're focusing those efforts there.
So 4.3 really just kind of encapsulates the community schools focus. So this is where we are going to be able to drive this action home as we continue to expand our partnerships with our community. We have a lot of community partners through our internships, our work-based learning opportunities, our business advisories, our Rotary, our Interact, some of our Chamber of Commerce, both in Paris and in Menifee. We have some great rapport and relationships with a lot of those businesses. So once we complete our district self-assessment and we continue to work through the process for the site self-assessment for the community schools, we'll continue to bring our partners in that we already currently have. So this is one of our areas that we're looking forward to expanding on, is the community schools aspect. And then hopefully we'll be able to, we will be able to show you the connection between all of our resources as we move forward.
We're not allowed to say hopefully.
No, hopefully, no.
Yep. We're doing it.
Okay, we are doing it. 4.4, so we're very excited. We started Parent Square, so this is one of our, this is the platform that we use. So we're very excited on this number. We're able to reach, does that say 98%? I can't see. 98% of our families. So a lot of our sites are using it, because I can't read with or without these. A lot of our sites are using it. Our parent liaisons or community liaisons are using the Parent Square for notifications and flyers and information, along with social media. So this really provides us some really good analytics. It also lets us know which families we're not able to reach. So then we have the task of following up with those families to find out, do we have missed numbers, emails, or if they're just opting out of the information coming into the district. So that are our 4 actions. We go to the next slide. That is our breakdown for our budgets based on the actions. So that just kind of goes through. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but can answer any questions on any of those if you have. We are the smallest budget of all of them, but the mightiest. We have a lot of information. The last goal is goal 5, and this one is focuses on Paris Lake and SOLA. And if you remember back in the spring when we did our LCAP, this was focused on college and career readiness. People are coming. So it was the equity multiplier money. So we were mandated to put this goal in there because we were receiving funds for Paris Lake and SOLA. And part of that was ensuring that the students there would be able to receive and graduate, increase graduation rates, credentialing issues. We had to look at those, making sure that our teachers were appropriately credentialed, which they are. So we're focusing on all of our students at the Lake and Scholar Plus. So part of that monies that we've allocated is broken down into 3 actions. So the first one is college and career readiness. So through our work last year when we were identifying how we can help support the students at the Lake, is we knew that we needed to remove barriers to learning and access. And that was at the Lake. We have a lot of students that are experiencing challenges, mental health issues, behavior issues, credit deficiencies, academic support. So part of what we gleaned through our assessment and the work that we did last spring was to bring on 2 ERMS therapists, and they're helping those students do that mental health pieces there. So that's part of what, that is part of the budget on 5.1. When we're talking about the comprehensive support services, this is funding the social worker at that school. So they have a full-time social worker. We did include some of the data here for her work. So we have site visits. I'm not going to go through here. You can see the number of contacts, the number of referrals, the number of consultations that they've had. So this is just a little breakdown of the specific work done at Paris Lake. So this particular action covers the social worker. And then the last one, part of the equity multiplier is, and I know that we've shared this before, is that we built in opportunities for our comprehensive sites to have what we call satellite campuses. Those are really Paris Lake High School students, or opportunities for students to be able to stay on their home campus, to be able to get caught up with credit recovery. And so we have, and I know that some of those, am I supposed to? Oh, was I supposed to let you do that?
You're good.
Oh, I'm sorry. I may have overstayed. Would you like to add more to?
Yes.
I may have gone in. a little
Before we
too
jump into
far.
that, one recent enhancement was officially systematizing our practices for students going to Paris Lake High School on making sure that we're looking at data, we're looking at all this information, and we have like an APC committee that's making sure that students are going to have the supports there at Paris Lake High School. One of the options that we provided this semester was some of the work with the satellites.
Yeah, so working with our comprehensives, we had to come up with a plan, working for an alternative placement committee to make sure that our students were able to graduate on time. And to make sure that this happened, we looked at all the data, make sure that they had the right credits and the right amount. And we went through and we have a contingency. First of all, I want to give credit to our high school principals. They've worked so far. That's why our numbers are so low right now, because they've done various interventions, credit recovery for our students to make sure that they are on track to graduate. Right now, that's why our numbers are so low, but should we need those satellites at the different comprehensives, we have that ready to go for our fourth quarter. So those are contingencies as of right now. We're constantly monitoring that. We met with principals Tuesday, matter of fact, Tuesday morning, to look at our juniors to see what interventions can be put in place and what academic interventions can be put in place to make sure that they are ready and more capable during their senior year to graduate. So that's systems and things that we're already putting in place for our students to graduate on time.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And that is the budget breakdown for Goal 5, and so we'll report out the data at the end of the year. So far, can I?
Yeah, do the next step and then
Okay.
take questions.
All right, so then the next step, so as you know, we're going to have the public hearing on June 2nd, which we will provide you our annual update for our LCAP, as well as our LCAP moving forward for our second year. And then, so that'll be a presentation. So we're going to report out all of the final data of the data that we have. June 18th will be the board approval. There'll be no presentation at that meeting. It'll just be approval of the LCAP. We'll have community input between the 2nd and the 18th.
And so for this is obviously an opportunity for you to provide feedback, provide information that you want from us, some direction. As you recall, last June when we did the LCAP presentation, there was some requests by the board. We had a shorter turnaround time to get that into the presentation by the 18th. We have a little better turnaround time here. So, now is the opportunity to gather questions on directions, and also letting you know that you do have an opportunity in June 2nd also.
Trustee and I have questions.
I was overwhelmed.
The staff.
Yeah, those, said you had 4 social workers and you're gonna hire another 2?
So we're not adding social workers, there's social workers that left, to be clear. So we've had, those were positions that we had, and then social workers, so we're not adding, we've had these number of social workers, right? But these are ones that took positions elsewhere.
So they're coming back?
No,
Or they're new people?
no, yeah. These are positions that because of vacancies, you do need to.
Okay, so they're not the...
They're not currently working right now?
It would be like if a counselor resigned or retired and we filled that position again, or an ag teacher, so.
When did they leave there?
So they're not here right now, right?
Correct, they're not here.
How long have they not been in that position?
One of them was recent, I believe, resignation was brought in January, and another one, before I took over, must have been sometime in December, I believe.
All right, thank you.
Oh, November, I'm sorry, correction. That social worker left in November.
Okay, so technically we are replacing those social workers. And if you have any concerns about that, this is the time. You agree,
There's
don't
always
agree,
concerns.
because sometimes you said that later on, you know. So this is the time so the community knows what the position of the board is.
So I'll be open and transparent about that.
You want to let Tony finish in case he has
I'm
anything
sorry.
else?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, my scribbling takes it in a different direction, so let's finish this direction. You're going, go ahead.
So my concern was, we heard that earlier that you guys were going to hire 2 more. Recently, we just laid off a bunch of people, and then we brought people back. How's the perspective going to be, or perception, excuse me, if we're forced to lay them off again because we don't have funding? Is there funding for this? We need to be financially stable and spend our money wisely, and not just because, don't get me wrong, when there's a need, of course we have to address it, but we have to make sure there's money. We're talking about deficit spending right now, and this kind of ties with the LCAP, but how do we bring that to a balance?
So as you recall, and I want to thank the board, 2 of the board members were here, but just before we went out of last summer's graduation, we had some board meetings when we were talking about the budget and talking about the layoffs. And so working with Candace and Student Services on looking at the pots of the money to fund these things. First of all, we established that the services were needed. Absolutely, services were needed. And then we looked at the funding sources that it came from. And so we looked at our MTSS counselors, our ERMS therapists, and our social workers. And we absolutely don't want to be in the same boat where the funding dried up. So we first established that these were essential services that we needed. And I think, on this side, we would agree that they were. But we went through the different pots of money where that they are funded. You want to contribute to this?
I think my question is, how will we continuously fund them without moving money here and there? We need to be consistent and guarantee these people jobs rather than a temporary contract because only one grant is covered for such a period of time.
And that it's sustainable. So we are of a common interest of it being sustainable. Yes. I agree with you.
Yes, absolutely a common interest. So you're correct. There was a number of positions that had to be laid off because they were paid for out of one-time money that was expiring. Now there's a smaller number, of positions. These 6 social workers that were part of the plan after the budget was adopted and in this time period that Joe is talking about. 2 of them have left, 2 of them are being replaced. So they are funded out of pots of money. I think I'm using a term I don't usually say pots of money, that we did not know we would have. So we heard about the community schools grant tonight. So the community schools grant is funding 4 of those social workers.
But that's limited money. I'm saying, how can we guarantee?
Yep. So I want to first say nothing is ever guaranteed, right? But we can do our very best projection. So one of the things I know we talked at length about is the sustainability. To your point, Mr. Garcia. And so yes, the community schools is a 5-year program. Remember we talked about the Golden State Pathways grant was another element to this. The equity multiplier is another element to this. And then the key is Medi-Cal billing. And building up those reserves and not we're spending some of it. We're paying for 1 social worker, 1 speech and language pathologist, but in terms of the total revenue, you may recall I did a whole presentation with estimated revenue allocations and how we continue to build those reserves while using these new funding pots until they expire, because we want to use our most restricted dollars first, right? And for the intended purpose, which we've established the need. Then we backfill that with those Medi-Cal reserves or ending fund balance so that we can go 7, 8, 9 years and continue doing all the right things for our students with the Medi-Cal billing, which translates into revenue.
And I understand what Trustee Garcia is mentioning, but let me share something with you. You started, Mr. Williams, saying, remember when we were in graduation, we talked about this, and we are not going to be making decisions like that. The decisions are going to be made here, right? Here in open session is going to be in the minutes, you are going to vote, so there's no confusion about, remember when we were at the graduation, information, I talked with individually with you, and you agreed that we are going to bring those social workers and earns back. The other thing that I would like to share with the board is we have that money that they didn't know, the district didn't know that was going to come last year, that it was going to be available. And I think this is something very important because I heard those rumors from the union also and from some board members that suddenly, magically, money appeared. There's no magic, there's nothing like that. There was something that the state, in what month did they decide that we have that option? In March?
I think it was April.
Until April.
Yeah.
April 9th.
Those decisions were being taken in February. Until April, there was that possibility. Our district applied for that money. We got the grant, and we had to do what is right. Because the other option was, don't have social workers, don't have arms, and do not provide the social, emotional, and mental health support to our students, because we are facing the risk in a few years that this is going to happen again. And I understand that those are difficult decisions, but we need to do what is right for our students, right?
I agree. We have to do what's right for our students, but we also have to take care of our employees as well. And I want to make sure that we have the funding. As an individual person, you don't spend money beyond your means in your home. So why would we do it here for the kids and for our staff? We got to take care of everybody equally. That is my argument. I just want to make sure there's always money to take care of everybody. And if we're misappropriating funds, let's fix it. If we're spending too much in an area that's not being functional, let's fix it. That's my concern. So I don't want to keep giving people temporary contracts. I want them to have contracts and feel comfortable and have job security. So that's my argument.
When the counselor or social worker starts these jobs under this type of grant situation, we notify them the length of their contract and possibilities of how long it'll last or won't last.
Well, when we discussed this originally, let's say we talked about like the workability examples, workability that we would notify them, right? In this case, I'm not quite sure.
So, and I guess to add on to that, and we kind of mentioned it before with the community schools grant. So if you just said that we use that funding to pay for these particular positions. So is it understood that funding, that $7.5 million, is going to be gone, and it's 1.5 a year starting this year. 5 years from now, that money's gone. So now the question is, everybody that's funded, are they aware that if we do not have the cash, and it doesn't look like we're going into a budget down the road forecasting that we're going to have all this extra cash, that they understand that will probably not be sustainable. Therefore, those positions might not exist depending on how the budget comes in. I think that's kind of one of the things that they're both sharing, and we want to make sure that they understand that these jobs are based on this funding, and this funding will last 5 years. That's it.
I think this is really important. I completely understand what you're saying, Trustee Garcia, Trustee Campos, and Trustee Stafford. And let me tell you this. It is my understanding, and correct me here, I wasn't here last year, that those positions from last year, they have that, Mr. Campos. They were temporary. Even the job description, it said that it was temporary. It was a difficult situation. Even though the employees might know that they are temporary, I can understand, right? Because when we look at it from the human perspective, that they are not going to have their job, it's difficult, and for you also to move forward with that. But the answer is yes. It was very clear then, it's very clear now, and it will continue to be very clear. Hopefully, the big difference this time, Trustee Garcia, is that we have a plan, the medical billing, because we are providing services to the students, and we are going to be reimbursed. Can we guarantee 100% that there is going to be not even one? No, we cannot do that.
So currently, right now, for the social workers, the therapists, and the ERMS therapists, what does their job description say, or a contract? Is it a limited time amount, or is it just a permanent position? How we feel it?
I don't have a copy of the contract. I helped with their,
No, well, it's not really a question for you. I guess it would be some Maybe HR.
We
Do you
will-
know?
We can get back.
You weren't here, so I don't know if you know that answer.
I would have to look into see if, I.
Could you get back to us, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, something really, really important, on the other hand, it's your decision. If you direct us, those two vacancies that are there, the board decides not to fill them out, so our students do not receive the services, it's your decision if we will do that.
Well, that's kind of like putting a spin on it because that's not the way we're looking at it.
No, no, no,
We're-
no, I'm
we're-
just saying that-
we definitely want to provide services. We want to take care of our staff. But again, it's living within our means, right? If we're deficit spending, that's a problem. So where do we trim the fat? Do we, I know what the community would say. Let's address cabinet. Why don't we trim their paycheck? That's not something you want to hear. That's not something they want to hear. So that's what I'm trying to address. I'm just trying to address, do we live within our means? And if we're deficit spending, where do we trim the fat and how do we help everyone? Because that's the goal.
Yeah.
We all, every person here in this room has a passion to help everyone. And we're all here for the kids, ultimately. And I don't think that's an argument. And so when it gets into the deep conversations and the hard decisions, do we have the money? It's yes or no. We're not saying, hey, we're going to make a decision to cut 2 positions just because we can't provide services. No, that's putting a spin on it. I'm not going to argue with that. My argument is simply, do we have the money? And if it's a grant, that tells me it's a limited amount of money and it's only for a certain amount of time. So what's the next step? We can't rely just on Medi-Cal billing. What other options do we have? And that's the challenges we put this cabinet up to all the time. What else are you going to do? What else are we going to do? You brought up in your statement earlier, and I loved it. We're getting not satellite towers, cell phone towers. We're renting out properties. We're talking about bringing the arts to the theaters, renting out those facilities. What else are we doing? Let's use our imagination. Let's be innovative. Is that not the era we live in, being innovative? We're not using our minds. We're so by the book. Oh, well, guess what? We're relying on the government to give us money. But what are we doing? We want to educate our kids. What are we doing? Are we thinking? Sorry, I'm getting off.
No, I would challenge that I can tell you that we are thinking innovatively, that I can tell you the team working with special ed, pupil services, Candace, Risk, we tied together, I think a collaboration that is never seen before on LCAP about the contribution and that when we needed these services for students, that we tied together how we were going to do the community schools, how we were going to do the equity multiplier, how we were going to use all of these funds to get these services to students, to pull them together, right? And so that took innovation, right? That took a lot of moving things around to make sure that we could make sure that these are viable.
This you may not have the answer for this one because it's in real time. What effect is the Department of Education, if it is dissolved, is that going to have on us in any way with funding, especially for these things? They're talking about handing it back to the state, but who knows what's going to happen here? We don't know. That's why I say you probably may not be able to answer this.
No, I'm given all those things in the world, I am taking a neutral position on this.
And at the moment, we're on LCAP. That's a whole different enchilada.
In the future, when you do find out something, let us know.
I will not.
Okay.
I stepped up here, asked Joe if it was okay if I'm stepping on his turf a little bit because I wanted to thank you, Mr. Garcia, for mentioning, I lost track of the number of times you mentioned deficit spending because it's important that we talk about that. And to the extent that I'm able, I wanted to provide you maybe just a little bit more of a level of comfortability with this. So the positions that we're talking about, the different funding sources that we named off, equity multiplier, community schools, none of that will affect the deficit spending one way or another because it's restricted dollars. So if that helps you, sometimes it's helpful, to compartmentalize, things that you can or should compartmentalize. And I think this is a good case for that. If we did not have these positions, as Dr. Rao said, we would have to, I don't know if this is exactly how you said it, we would have to turn the money away. And I don't think anybody's talking, about that, but we cannot use the community schools money as an example or the equity multiplier to solve our deficit spending. That's an unrestricted general fund issue.
No,
so
I totally understand. I think a little bit of clarity I would like to bring is we are trying to take care of our children, our students, but we have to take care of our staff. I understand that these people are creating revenue for the district, and absolutely we're going to support that, right? That it's foolish not to. I just want to make sure if they have a contract that is based off of specific funding, they are well aware if whoever forces this board's hand to make a decision if we keep them for employees or dismiss them. We don't want to dismiss them. We want them to be able to provide the services to our students. Again, that's our clientele.
It's an investment.
You're looking at it as an investment. I'm looking at it as our future. These are our kids, right?
To seek out
Maybe it is
resources and
yes.
always
I just want to make sure there's ongoing funds. Like I said, there's different pockets of money, and I don't want you guys have to keep shifting it. Just how do we make it a steady stream of income for them?
And I completely understand Mr. Garcia's position and Trustee Stafford, because I can imagine how difficult it was last year when you had to make that decision. So can we make sure, Mr. Andrade, that those contracts, when we hire these social workers, there's a special clause there at the beginning addressing the concern that Trustee Garcia and Trustee Stafford and Trustee Campos were talking about, that there is very clear that it's subject to the funding, right? Because we don't want, how Ms. Rain said, not to take the money, right? So, because we are facing that risk. But on the other hand, we need to take care of our staff and be conscientious that let them know in advance that they might, if the funding is not there, if we don't get enough money from the reimbursement of services that they are providing, then there is a possibility that they are not going to continue to have the job.
Yes.
I'm going to try not to say any more. Thank you for your patience and listening to us. I know you know what we mean because we have these conversations quite frequently, but it's good that the public and the community is hearing this as well. So thank you guys.
Part of this LCAP process is, now is the time to gather your questions.
Right.
Questions are, it's great. We're taking notes, and it is the role of the board or the role of governance, and we're gathering the questions that you have.
Tony, any more?
No, I think I'm good at this point, on the information we have, so.
Trustee Hall?
We're good.
No, I'm good right now. Trustee Garcia?
No, thank you.
So, the one I do have one request and then a question that came up that something was mentioned and it was brought to my attention by a parent. So earlier, and I know it was mentioned I think in the LCAT presentation earlier, they mentioned the FAFSA, and someone had said it's a graduation requirement. Now my understanding is it's not correct. It's an option, and so here's my intent with the question. A parent had emailed us, letting us know that they think it's quite invasive to gather all that information if they knew that their kid wasn't going to attend, and so if their kid wasn't going to attend or planning to attend higher education, that they would go ahead. Why do they have to participate in this? And so what I want to make clear and understanding is a couple things. Number one, that it's clear if it's not a graduation requirement, that the parents understand they can opt out of that. They don't have to give that information if they don't need it. Now, my other question, along with that though, is based on the percentage, do we get any funding from the state or whoever if we have 100%, 80%, 85%? So what I don't understand is on the FAFSA, filling out the paperwork, are we funded in any way, shape, or form based on the percentage of the return FAFSA documents?
So let me answer the first part of your question. Okay. So under California Assembly Bill 469, that requires all high schools to make sure that FAFSA or other functions are part of the high school graduation requirement. But part of that also say that there needs to be an effective and easy opt-out ability, right? So one of the things that we'd like to consider, and I did talk with the parent and I did let them know that we have an opt-out form, and they did share with me some of their concerns that you shared, and that we will make sure that people know that it is a graduation requirement to complete the FAFSA or do the opt-out form. That is currently the graduation requirement. But we're communicating with all of our principals behind me. They know that we're going to make it easy to have people opt out. However, I'm gonna add a little caveat that most people don't know. So people won't fill out the FAFSA because they feel, well, I don't qualify, right? Some colleges, not all, will base for merit. They'll give like scholarship for merit, even though you didn't qualify for FAFSA, for things like reduced parking passes, meal passes, housing, bookstores. So, and what I tell parents is, if you just think you're not going to fill it out because you don't qualify, just so you know, you might want to research the college that your kid's going to, because a lot of these colleges do give merit-based scholarships, but they only give it if you fill out the FAFSA. And that is some things that parking, but when the parent know that, they said, I was not aware of that. And so we do make sure that the parents know that it's a graduation requirement. It also needs to opt out. But even if they don't fit the need, there's still a benefit of filling it out.
And thank you, Mr. Campos, for forwarding that email, because as a result of that, that's when we contacted our principals, and we're talking about transparency all the time, right? So it has to be transparent, that one way of fulfilling the FAFSA graduation requirement is with the opt-out form, correct? Yes. Okay.
So then the next question was, is there any funding attached to the percentage?
It's part of the dashboard, right?
Yeah.
It's part of the dashboard. It's part of the metrics on how they measure schools. It's not part of the dashboard. I don't know if they tie funding to it, but it's part of what we're about, what we're ranked on.
To the best of my understanding, that is not tied to any funding. So we don't get any money if we have certain percent of students filling out the FAFSA.
And our counselors do a great job of making sure that students get the resources. For the majority of our students, student aid is a priority and a need. But like I said, we do have an easy opt-out form. We did make sure people know. But just because a family thinks that they don't qualify, they still could fill it out, and their kid could get a merit-based scholarship.
Understood. Thank you. And then the last thing is just kind of a request. So, when the presentations are going on and we have a lot of pages and we're turning, I had kind of requested, is it possible to get, because I get the goals and the way it's set up, and I've seen different setups on how they've done LCAP, and most of that, I think it gets more confusing as we've gone down in looking at the numbers. So my request, and I had given Dr. Rouse a couple of examples of basically to simplify it, to just list down, like I get obviously 5. 5 is very specific, that's Paris Lake, right? We get that, that's specific funding there, really easy understood. Now, the other ones, there's all these different categories, which I understand. I would just like to see them broken up into sites. So we have a $33 million LCAP budget, right? With supplemental, it's obviously supplemental income, additional income and services that we're providing to the students. Understood. But so that we can kind of see, okay, at Heritage, they're getting, they have X, Y, and Z. This is what they're getting in the services as part of the LCAP pie, you know what I mean, or distribution of funds. That way we know, okay, Liberty is getting this, Paloma Valley is getting this, Paris is getting this, and Paris Lake is getting, so that we can just kind of simply look through it, and you can add, so for me, if I see that and I see, okay, so they have an ERMS counselor, maybe they have 2, and they have 1, whatever, we can see kind of what services are at each site, and obviously that's going to be according to student population, UDP, whatever the determination is, and then putting the goal there is fine, because when I look through the LCAP, it's hundreds of pages, but if I know, okay, at Heritage they've got this and they're allocated X amount of dollars, right? And it's on part of their goal is 1.1. I can then flip through so that I know what I'm looking at. I can look through, okay, I'm going to look at 1.1. Okay, these are the services without having to go through the whole document and sit there and with my eyes crossed. It'll just give me a simple idea so I can spot check high schools. This is what they've got, or if I question, what's this funding and how is this attached? Why does this high school get it, this one doesn't? I can then look at the goal, look at the rationale, and understand how those funds are distributed. So me personally, if we can get, and some of these, I hate to say it, but some of them, you can't even read, it's blocked out. It's a lot of documentation. The presentation is beautiful. But if we can simplify it, because, flipping to this, looking at that and saying, okay, well, there's that. Oh, but wait a minute, it's this goal over here. I mean, it's a lot when we're getting the presentation and flooded with information and other stuff. But that way we can take that back and kind of aggregate it specifically to high schools. Because maybe I'm targeting, or I'm looking at, Paloma Valley, or I'm looking at Liberty High School. And I'm just kind of seeing, and at the moment, I'm not concerned with Heritage or Paris for whatever reason. I can just look at it and say, okay, here's what we've got. And you kind of see the services that are at each site without me having to flip through, a 10,
Speaking
20
of principals, I know that they know that we have our leadership meetings, and we have our leadership meeting next March. And in March, there's a Monday or a Tuesday, and they will be working on LCAP 3 and 4. They do have the outcomes tied to that.
Okay.
So we do prepare those documents, but I wanted to kind of pull it audible, speaking of principals.
Mr. Williams, I already shared that with Ms. Raines, and we are working on that because I'm not Mr. Campos.
Yeah.
I'm like him. I'm very visual, and if we can have in one page, this is for this school, for this school. Remember that always I'm asking for tables, right? Simplify everything.
Or even one table per site.
Yeah.
I mean, it would just at least let me understand, when I'm comparing stuff, because a lot of the stuff I see, I see something. I see Tutor Me Go Guardian 1.1, a figure, another figure, and then a third figure. And I have no idea how that's broken up. You know what I mean? And so it would just be, for me, a little bit more helpful. And I can't speak for them, but I know that for me it just makes it a little bit simpler.
I agree.
But anyways, that's...
I'm not disagreeing, I agree.
Especially new
that's
board
all.
members.
Now, can we do this on that format?
Yeah.
Because it would be even easier for our staff, right? For administrators and for us, just to go to the point. Exactly. This amount of money for Paris High School. This is the way that it was allocated, right? And that's it.
Well, and understand something. I'm not trying to add in more work for high school administrators. So I just want I believe we probably have staff for that. So I just want to make sure that that's clear.
We would provide the same templates, not a problem.
Okay, all right. Well, that's pretty much it on my requests and questions. So.
Do we? What Dr.
Say it.
It's getting late. Do we want to go?
Well, actually, I was thinking about making a motion to end at 9:30 to be consistent with the past board meetings and maybe call for a special board meeting because we have a lot on the agenda still. Do you guys? I already opened my mouth.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a motion
I support
if someone wants to
Yeah.
second that, so we can have a special board meeting to finish out the rest of the agenda. As long as we continue by 9:30, because I think 9:30 would be respectful of everyone's time.
I second it.
All right. Do you need a?
Do you think the next report special education, Ms. Raines, special education contribution review will take 15 minutes?
Oh, it will take less than that, but
Okay.
Alfredo and I were just chatting here, so if we're stepping on toes, forgive us mutually.
Well,
would it be better to skip the presentations, move to some of the action items?
That's what I was
Okay.
going
In
to
particular, since we have, some other guests here.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
So we can take care of
My
that.
presentation.
Wait, we still have a motion.
So 9.
We still have a motion, so you could do whatever you want, but we still have a motion. I'll call for the vote.
Oh, okay.
Wait, well, we have a first and a second. For what?
No, a second.
No, Hall. To end by 9:30, but, then we have to amend it for, okay. So I guess I'll make the amendment, can I make the amendment as well?
Are we
And then
gonna,
make the amendment to go through the action items and skip the presentations for tonight, so we could end by 9:30.
you're not gonna still end by 9:30, but yes.
We're gonna try, right? We'll have discussion after the first and second.
Finish the action items, I would make.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that.
Well, that's the intent, so that's an
Yeah,
amendment, I
that's
need
the
a second.
intent, but it's not.
But I need a second, we could have discussion after the second.
Okay.
So we got
Ms. Anaya,
So now
so now we can
now
have
we go
discussion. Tony, say what you want.
discuss it. So
We
trustee
got
Knight, if you want to
discussion.
start? On.
Well, he was talking to.
Oh, okay, got it.
What
Yeah.
did we discuss?
We just made an amendment, she seconded it to do the action items, and I was saying,
Okay, so that's 14.1 starts.
yeah, we still have to vote. Are we in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Wait, what about you?
I just think it's gonna take
Yeah, that's
longer.
fine. Well, hopefully not, right?
We'll try.
We're trying to end by 9:30. But we're going straight to action items.
Okay, so let's clarify the motion, just so I'm understanding what we're voting on.
I
So
made a motion to end by 9:30.
to end by 9:30.
And the amendment is to cancel the presentations for tonight. Or are we tabling it? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, tabling the presentation.
Tabling the
special board
presentation
meeting.
for a special board meeting and continue with action items until 9:30. And so whatever remains will carry over at the special board meeting.
Okay, so
9:30 until we finish the items.
No, 9:30. So we get out at a reasonable time.
We'll answer what.
The longer we talk, though, the
Right.
less we get accomplished.
And then whatever we don't, is gonna be tabled for the
Special board meeting, yes.
We're gonna table this last.
Are we in favor? Can we move along? Are we in favor?
Fine.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
girl.
Be prepared.
I'm sorry.
That's all I can say.
They come back. Yeah, they have to come back.
Yeah, it's okay.
They have to come back. Tell Dr. Ray. Wasting time, y'all. We already made a motion and an amendment. That's all I'm going to say.
So now we just either vote. Now we have to vote. So we'll go with the roll call, right?
Yeah. Were you in?
Just to make, we're ending by 9:30 and everything else will be for special meeting? Okay, yes.
Trustee Hall?
Tony.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Trustee Stafford.
I'm gonna say yes, with the caveat that the crowd can go, but I think we should finish the action items.
Well, then you have to make another amendment. So right now we're voting on the item and an amendment, and we're wasting time.
I know, so
The goal is to get as much accomplished right now before 9:30, and then finish the rest at special board meeting.
What we don't finish, we'll just push it into a special board meeting.
I don't want to waste more time, but if it helps mathematically, the item for selection of the auditors, that cannot happen by 9:30. So just as you're considering, that, we may want to let some of those folks go that have, been sitting here. But there also is a timeline too, so when you set that special board meeting.
You still have a roll call.
Okay, so Trustee Stafford?
well, in order to get me to say yes, I would say you have to finish the action items.
Trustee Hall? So is that a yes or no?
It's a split decision.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, how did everybody else?
So what do you want to do, abstain?
I'll
All right, Trustee Hall.
Trustee Hall?
Yes.
Trustee
Yes.
Garcia? And I'm going to say no. So
3-2.
3-2.
Well, 3-1-1.
3-1-1.
3 yeses, 1 no, 1
Three in favor.
abstain. Yes, that's correct. Okay, moving on with action items.
You got 15 minutes.
Yep.
Now, I'd like to make a motion, if we can, since they are here and ready to present it, we can have a little flexibility in the organization. I was under the understanding that they were going to be back in March, not tonight. That's not the way it was presented to me. So I didn't realize that. But they're here now. Let's take care of it. So we can move them up on the agenda. Let's take care of that so we can take care of that action and they can go on with their night.
We did fine with that, but we did give all of them up to 10 minutes, so that's where I was saying mathematically that can't work by 9:30. And doing the math right, auditors.
I'll do 5 minutes. We can go faster than 5 minutes.
So up to the board.
Is that an action item? Because we have a motion.
Yeah.
If it's an action item, then
Yeah, they're 14.
Right.
See,
If they could do it in 5 minutes, go for it. Do you want to? So what are you? You the president? Do you want to move them up now?
Oh no, that's what I was asking. I wanted to, let's get them up.
Are you good with that consensus? They're going to do it in 5 minutes. It's an action item. Board.
It's just because they're here now. I know.
Yeah, Tony,
And
Chris,
there's
and I,
3 firms, so you have to multiply that out.
Yeah.
So we're doing 14,
13 minutes.
14, 12? Is that where we're going?
Yes, the auditors. Yeah.
And we also need to do 14.7 tonight.
I'd say continue on, let's just put on the action items, just, we've got to handle this.
We already voted though.
You voted already, so let's.
Yeah, so there, it's 9:17.
If we can have the first auditor come on up, I don't know which one. That way, let's just get this moving.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so as you read in your board summary, the board needs to select an auditor just like you did last year and have done years prior to that by March 30th. We arranged with Dr. I apologize if that's not the message, but the message I received was to try to get them here tonight. The 3 firms who would be new to you are here. Bailey is not, because you just heard from them, and so I'm just going to go in the order that they're listed on the agenda, and we'll start with Christy White.
Thank you and good evening. It's nice to be here. And I know we have a short amount of time, so I'll try to pack in as much information as I can. I'm Christy White. I'm the president of Christy White, and if selected as your auditor, I would be your audit partner. I have over 35 years of experience personally, and our firm has been doing business for 25 years. And we're the largest firm that does school district auditing in terms of the numbers in the state. So we have over 220 school districts, 140 charters. I have with me, come up here, Braulio. We have a team that's local. I have staff that live in Riverside. Our manager is there, as well as 2 staff people. And then the local guy here is Braulio Beltran. He's a senior. He's would be one of the lead auditors. Just say hello, maybe, quickly.
Hello, everyone. My name is Braulio Beltran. As you mentioned, I'm a senior accountant here at Christy White. I want to mention I'm actually a Paris High School alumni, so it's kind of it feels good to come back and serve the community. Yeah, that's my
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, anyways, what we kind of bring, you have some great firms you're talking to tonight, but what I want to say is what we bring to you, I think, is our experience and a lot of things that I've heard tonight. For example, attendance accounting and trying to improve attendance accounting. I taught how to maximize attendance accounting throughout the state, and I'd be happy to work with the district on that. Our fees are all inclusive of any kinds of consulting as it relates to the audit. And so I'm happy to work on those kind of issues. You have a fantastic bond program. I know that you're working, Paris High is coming up right now, Paloma Valley High. We do a lot of bond audits, working with your Citizens Oversight Committee. Let's see, you're growing a little bit in enrollment, which is good. I'm also well versed in budget items, so if you have questions regarding, how to interpret the financials or the budget. So I'm going to leave it there, just to say that we're a qualified firm. I hope you consider us because I would like to bring value to you, and I would certainly enjoy working with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your
Who's
patience.
We're going to go through.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Berry. I'm a partner with Nigro and Nigro.
Good afternoon. My name is Oscar Gonzalez. I'm one of the senior managers with Nigro and Nigro.
So we are a local firm. Actually, our main office is in Marietta. We're founded in 1999. So actually, we're getting that 25 years as well. So again, keeping this brief for the respect of everybody's time. We really are a good mid-sized firm in this area. We work with about 60 school districts throughout the state of California. Over half of those have bond audits, so we're well versed in doing bond audits as well. We like to think that our size is really one of our advantages. We are big enough to have the large firm resources and staffing pool for your audit needs, but also small enough to be flexible and offer that more personalized customer service because we're not answering to maybe more of a corporate level, but we do have our local office and we can be flexible in that with our sizing. Again, as I said, we work with about 60 LEAs throughout the state. We currently have approximately 30 employees throughout our firm. The majority of those employees are on the school district side of our operations, and they work almost exclusively with school districts. So they're not jumping over to tax, other governmental audit, bookkeeping. Their primary focus, 90% or more of their time, is with school districts. They're trained in school districts. We do in-house trainings as well as outside trainings to make sure that our staff, our managers, everyone is up to date on whatever compliance changes have been made. Compliance is constantly evolving. We know you guys have to deal with that as well. And so we want to make sure all different levels of our team are trained in that and are working with school districts and know their complexities. Kind of keeping this on the brief side, we are active members in CASBO. We have partners that teach for the CASBO Business Executive Leadership Program and the ThickMat Coaching and Induction Program for new CBOs. We also offer different classes to our clients. So I personally do a lot of ASB classes that I'll offer to districts. Sometimes they're an hour long, sometimes they're 4+ hours long, depending on individual needs. We also do fraud prevention, attendance and accounting, so a lot of different workshops or classes that we can offer to our clients. Leading into one of our big things is that we want this to be a positive business relationship. We're not just there for the auditors that show up once or twice a year and disappear. We make sure you have updates. We send out client alerts. We're there all the time to answer questions. I get emails throughout the year from all of my different clients. And our partners, our managers, all levels are very involved in the individual steps of the audit. Again, the partners are not just kind of a sign off at the end. We're very connected to our clients. I'm definitely out on the site with my different teams, working with my clients and making sure that I'm understanding them as a district and their individual needs. So I'm trying to keep this pretty short, so I'll wrap up there, but more than happy to answer questions at the end if that should come up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Stephen Curry. I'm an audit partner with CWDL. With me is Joe Tarantino.
Good evening, everybody. Joe Tarantino, Senior Manager with CWDL. Look forward to collaborating with everybody, and thank you for giving us the opportunity tonight.
A little bit about our firm. We were established in 2014, but we all actually come from previous firms. One of the engagement partners that are on this, he actually was a partner at a previous firm. We bring with us, each one of us has over 15 years of audit experience. Our team is primarily located here in San Diego. A few of our members who are listed in the proposal are actual alumni of the district. So they're looking forward to hopefully the opportunity to come back and work with the district. We have about 20 professional staff. Oh, our agenda's up here. About 20 professional staff with our San Diego office. As you can see right here, just some of our members. John, who would be the infield partner. Ben, who would be the infield manager. Joe also being the infield manager. And then our staff members right there. So one thing unique about us is our roles were maybe partners, but we actually are out there doing the day-to-day operations, the boots on the ground. So myself and Joe just came from site testing. So that's one thing unique to us. We always have a partner on site. We're always kind of there, trying to be, kind of partners with our clients, provide as many trainings. We do offer all of our clients a free training a year. On the next slide, just a little bit about what we do. We think communication with our clients is important. So all of our clients have members right to our direct lines to our cell phones. They can text us, call us at any time. We're here to answer questions. Staff development was one thing that we really think is big. We want all of our members to be trained before they come out on site, so you don't feel like you're training any of our staff members while they're out there on site. And then just a few things just about kind of our approach to the audit. Like I was saying, on-site partner, on-site manager, 1 to 2 staff level associates, very flexible in our schedules. Being a smaller firm, we have a lot more open schedules. We can be, not just an interim phase where we come out one time, you see us twice a year. We can schedule additional visits. We still do on-site, so we go to our clients to the field work in person still.
In addition, we like to keep our clients updated with the most recent GASB standards as well as compliance issues. As you may know, with Senate Bill 153, that changes an independent study, we like to keep you guys appraised. So there's no apprised audit findings. We like to collaborate and work with you guys in advance to make sure the district is in compliance. In addition to other state compliance areas, such as the in-person instruction grant and all the required reporting, again, just to make sure the district's in compliance with it. Myself personally have 12 years of experience working within school district, finance, management, and directorship. So similar to as some of the other firms have stated, we have that knowledge, experience that could help lead the district in maximizing accounting, as well as knowledge of day-to-day operations within the business office, school sites, and other respective fiscal and accountability departments within the district.
I think that probably, a couple minutes left. So if you have any questions, feel free.
Thank you.
And you know what, I apologize for the
Yeah.
the misunderstanding of, because I honestly thought this was supposed to be, tonight was just going to be an informational item, and then we were going to do action after having that discussion, but, so I
Not to worry.
apologize for that.
No, not to
Thank you, I
worry.
appreciate you guys' patience and sitting through it all.
Again, I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Absolutely, thank you. Okay.
So the recommendation is for you guys to make a decision today on who you guys want to select.
Okay. Okay, so, and I don't know if everybody's reviewed all the information, but we can go ahead, if there's a discussion on who we select, we can open up the discussion that way.
Mr. Campos, may I interject?
Sure.
Just an idea you may wish to entertain, since you are continuing this board meeting to a special board meeting. The hard deadline the board has is approving a contract by March 30th. Otherwise, the county superintendent will select an auditor. So as long as we have 2 board meetings between tonight and March 30th, you do have the opportunity, we can re-agendize this so that you can have the discussion, provide the direction, and then the next meeting we can bring the contract back if that helps.
That's great.
You can certainly have the conversation tonight too.
That's great.
Yeah, no, I would appreciate that, that way at least it gives people,
To put on
I mean,
the agenda?
I didn't expect the presentation, but I've read through everybody's, I mean, I kind of have my idea as to who I was gonna discuss and,
I just wanted to throw it out as an
yeah,
option.
Do
okay,
you want to make a
so,
motion or you want me to? Go ahead. All right, I'll make the motion then to put this, to take action by the next meeting, whether it's special board meeting or a regular board meeting.
Yes, that has to be a special so that we can meet the regular. I guess you could have a special after the regular.
How about at the next board meeting?
Okay, I like it.
what's that?
That's for a second.
I think.
Oh, well,
Mr. Hall, second.
so let's take a roll call.
No, I'm gonna add it
Oh.
to it, if that's okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Who made the second? Trustee Hall?
Yeah. So, hold on.
So there's another
To
item.
extend this until at least the action item like 26.
What number is that? So there's another item they have to have complete? Because there's a deadline on the action
All
item.
the personnel, I could say.
So, some,
Raise the deadline to 10.
to 10?
You gotta get through the personnel.
To 10?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta get through the personnel item, that's my opinion.
yeah. That's what,
Okay,
I agree.
okay, then somebody make a motion. Or when Steve's ready. Do you want to dismiss everybody else? Oh, yeah. Well,
you should.
Well, you do, he's occupied. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice night.
Good night, you too. Steve, do you want to dismiss the principals?
Oh, yes, sir.
Dr. Rouse, go ahead and dismiss.
We are going to continue with our board meeting, so if any of you would like to leave at this time, you're welcome to do so. But there are some important items that we need to take care of tonight. So it's going to be extended at the time. I think, thank you to the board for listening to the recommendation, because that is in the best interest of our district and our students to take care of business, right? Take care of others today. So you're welcome to leave. Or you're welcome to stay.
Make your motion. Make your motion right now. Extend till 10 o'clock to take care of that action item.
And also there is the last one.
No, it's just
Yeah, even if it's a special board meeting, it covers that, right?
I think that's why I just put it as a policy.
Yeah.
That way, if it's
Yeah.
a special board meeting.
No, that's good.
So now you guys can vote on it.
So we can vote on, yeah, let's vote on it. This is what we are putting this item for the next meeting, and it should be a special board meeting. So this is when we just voted, this action item, so obviously we want to vote to move
Pick
it.
one for the next time.
No, next time we will, not tonight.
We're gonna pick for.
14.5 to 14.
Next meeting, yeah, we're just moving it to the next meeting.
But we're gonna still continue on the.
An action item, yeah, so they're asking till 10 o'clock for that one action item that we have to
We gotta
vote
take care of, we're gonna
because it has
prioritize.
timelines.
Be careful.
So
So we'll prioritize, okay.
when Steve calls for the vote, we vote.
14.5.
No, but he has to call for the vote. Steve, you need to call for the vote so we can vote on it.
Okay, so we are
14-12.
14-12 on the selection of an independent auditor.
It's highlighted in yellow that we're moving it.
Okay, so it is recommended the Board of Trustees agendize this item at the following board meeting.
So you vote.
So now, if there's no discussion, please vote.
That's our cue. Oh, nice.
And upon the vote being taken, we got a 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
I don't know what number that is.
I think we wanted to jump down.
Yeah, we are going to go jump down to
14.5.
14.5.
The personnel.
Why don't you just open our mind real quick? 14-1. So discussion.
Okay, 14.
Wait. Someone has to make a motion to extend it, so.
Oh. Okay, is there a motion to extend the board meeting till 10 o'clock?
To cover that one
So
action
moved.
item, that one specific action item.
I wouldn't put a time on it.
Yeah, let's get it done.
Don't put a time on it.
Just extend it.
So
Finish the action items. That's what you
Oh, you want to finish all the action items? You want to finish all the action items?
Yeah.
What's
It's your decision.
What do we want to do?
You see what's there, right?
Joe's recommending till 10 o'clock because he says we're gonna probably gonna have discussion. But I was trying to respect everybody's time because a lot of us have to work tomorrow morning. And so they're asking for that one specific action item. I say fulfill that, put the rest on the next meeting because that's what the motion was originally about.
I like saying this. I don't have a job. I can spend it until midnight.
Yeah, but our staff who is here, they already work this meetings. They can leave at any time.
Yeah, they can leave.
So
Yeah.
if they're staying here, it's because they would like to stay here.
Oh,
So that's not a problem.
guys are.
Yeah, because they already know.
Is there a motion to at least do this?
Yeah, so we can
So
prioritize. So the motion is,
for personnel,
The personnel items?
at least personnel.
Yeah, and then we'll just go from there and see what happens.
yeah,
I'm going home.
okay.
Do I have a second?
Who made the motion?
Oh, who made the motion? I'm
I
sorry.
made the motion
For what?
to extend the board meeting till, but we didn't set a time. No time, right?
They're asking to cover 14.5 personnel at the minimum.
So just to, I don't want to interject, I said, I think we should cover all personnel. It's like,
Yeah.
All personnel items.
it would be my recommendation that those.
All right, let's breeze through it because they said there's a timeline on that.
So there's 5.
So motion to.
We need 18.2.
Oh, yeah, 18.2 is
Discipline.
discipline.
Why did we even go along?
Yeah, 'cause we have a
Keep it
statutory
modified
guide on
everything.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah,
a.
be consistent.
What do we have, 14.1, or we skipped something on the previous page?
All personnel items.
Yeah.
So personnel items
We skipped, okay, written reports, so we skipped.
and discipline.
Okay.
Oh, and then those oral reports.
Personnel items and discipline. That's all we need today. Right?
Is there a second?
Second. Yeah.
And then you can do it all.
Okay, so now we'll do a roll call.
In
And
favor?
just to make sure that this is to move the agenda down and end the meeting, extend the meeting till 10 o'clock.
Midnight. I'm just messing with you.
Are we putting a time?
I'm just.
Are we just gonna cover personnel and discipline?
Oh, okay. With no time? Well, that's where I'm confused. So, okay. So is the motion?
Did you miss the SRO?
Personnel and discipline.
Who did it?
John.
We did.
Oh, John.
I thought it was
John's got us.
Okay. So the motion is to finish up the personnel and discipline items, correct?
Okay.
Discipline board review.
Yes. And so there's no time limit, just until we're done with those decisions. Okay. So we'll go with the roll call vote. Trustee Anaya?
Yes.
Trustee Stafford?
Yes.
Trustee Hall? Yes. Trustee Garcia?
Yes.
And Trustee Campos, yes. So we got a 5-0, 5 in favor. And now we'll move on to 14.5. Certificated personnel action items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Stafford. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Trustee Hall. Seeing no discussion, please vote.
Oh, wait. I think I'm wrong.
Okay.
I think I voted wrong.
That's the one that you did.
Yeah,
I think I'm not supposed to vote.
So upon the vote, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed. And we're moving on to 14.6.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, 14.6. Personnel, classified personnel action items. And do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Stafford. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Trustee Hall. Seeing no discussion, please vote. And upon vote being taken, we've got a 5 in favor, 0 approved, or 0 opposed, sorry. And we're moving into 14.7. Personnel resolution number 14, semicolon 2024-25, regarding non-reelection of certificated employee. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Hall and Garcia. Please, seeing no discussion, please vote. On the vote being taken, we've got 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Moving on to 14.8. Salary adjustment for the Deputy Superintendent of Business Services. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. Second, Trustee Stafford. Thank you. Seeing no discussion, please vote. Upon the vote being taken, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Moving on to 14.9. Consideration and approval of employment agreement for the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Stafford and Trustee Garcia on the second. Seeing no discussion, please vote. Upon a vote being taken, we have 5 in favor, 0 opposed. And moving on to 14.10, amendment to the employment agreement for the superintendent and chief human resources officer. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. Thank you, Trustee Stafford, for the second. Seeing no discussion, please vote. Upon a vote being taken, we've got 5 in favor, 0 opposed. And moving on to 14.11. Well, oh, I'm sorry, 18. Whoa. Okay, so skip that. Now I gotta. Okay, my bad.
Did that one have a deadline? The 1411? Did that have a deadline?
Yes.
Does 1411 have a
It's
deadline?
March 30.
Oh, okay, so we're okay.
March 30,
Okay.
yeah. We have the special board meeting and the regular.
Okay, and then we still have to get the date for that meeting, right? The special board meeting?
Yeah, we
We
can
can
set it up
wait.
right now.
I mean, if you want to do it real quick, that's great.
Well,
We'll get it to
I say
CBS.
after these.
Oh, that's
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
after this.
Okay, so moving
No, we're on the
to
same page.
18.2, discipline, the board review of discipline matters. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. Thank you, Trustee Stafford. One second. Please, there's no discussion, so please vote. On a vote being taken, the vote was 5 in favor, 0 opposed. And then we move on to,
So we're going back up to 1411.
That's all the
Yeah.
personnel, right?
yeah.
Yes.
So now we establish a meeting. Then we
Okay,
adjourn
so
to the
We
meeting.
can-
Oh, we didn't put a time. Everybody getting excited over here.
we can do it sooner.
We have to establish a date for a special board meeting. That's all the personnel action. Wait, personnel and discipline, we're done.
Personnel and discipline, we're done.
Right?
No?
Well, yeah, yes, but then there's an action item still under action items.
Which one?
The PE exemptions.
Yeah, those just looking at it's 18.1.
Do you want to just do that now then?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that should be pretty easy.
All
So
right,
now
call it. Do you want to set us up?
we'll move to 18.1, curriculum student physical education exemptions for the 2024-2025 school year. Do I have a motion?
So motion.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Hall and Trustee Garcia. Seeing no discussion. Please vote. Upon the vote being taken, we've got 5 in favor, 0 opposed. And now,
No, we have to schedule a special board meeting before we adjourn.
okay, so before we adjourn, how do
Are you guys going back into closed session?
No, everything's
No.
next meeting.
I just want to say sorry for our mismanagement of our time.
Try to be respectful, be consistent.
So do we have a discussion for a date? Or
We'll talk about it later.
And just
Does the district have dates to propose?
Yes, let's look at it.
And we were proposing a day somewhere in the last week of February, because next week is ski week and the sites are going to be closed.
You guys can come back. I'm just kidding.
No, we'll be here, but there's going to be certain people that aren't going to be here.
What about Wednesday the 26th?
Nope.
Nope.
I can't do it.
Tuesday the 25th?
Of what?
This month, 25th, Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
February.
There's a COC meeting.
Hector, could you handle the COC meeting by yourself?
Yes.
Okay, so
Tuesday's great for me.
At what time?
I know you can.
Huh?
Tuesday the 25th.
What is COC? Oh,
Tuesday early. Tuesday the 25th early.
Tuesday the 25th.
Early. What, 2 o'clock? Or, is that good?
Yeah, I'm fine with 2.
Is Tuesday 25th
If that
for
works
everybody
with
about 2 o'clock?
else.
Ms. Jamie?
Yeah.
Yes, we're good to go. There it is.
February
Can you send us an invite?
2 p.m.
Yep.
2 p.m. Tuesday.
I guess I'll put it in the calendar now.
Wonderful.
Okay.
And then when's the regular?
Okay.
It's going to be March 15th? No, March 12th.
Okay, so 21.1, adjournment, regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for February 12th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Garcia. Do I have a second?
Second it.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. Seeing no discussion, please vote.
Did everybody vote?
Oh, sorry. No, my guy's like.
Put a 10 over this
It's frozen.
Oh,
No,
I can't. No.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, upon the vote being taken, the vote was 5 in favor, 0 opposed. This meeting-
We're still in session.
We're still in session.
We're still in session. We're trying to close,
It's
please.
okay.
It's rain.
The meeting is adjourned at 9:48.
Thank you.